Welcome to Unlock the Secrets to a 270 on the new USMLE Step 2 CK. This is the data-driven blueprint from about 780 plus recent test takers. So one of the best things about me, which is that going into social media, is the access I have to people all across the world, and especially with about more than like a couple of 100,000 followers, that allows me to survey people to see what are the common patterns in the newer exams as they progress, what are the updates. While for us, it's easier because, again, of those surveying tools that allow us to survey hundreds of thousands of people who are taking these steps every year to see what's going on, what are the differences between the old steps and the new steps. We took all the outliers and we asked ourselves, what are they doing different in this test? And we were going to be giving you the exact strategy they're doing. And finally, a lot of that strategy matches what I teach people in general. By the end of the masterclass, you will discover whether 2025 Step 2 is fundamentally different, and you'll see the same pattern in 2026. I'll be also unveiling what I call is the signal to noise framework. 270 plus scorers use. Many of them are not technically consciously aware of this, but many of them use this framework to get to the answer without knowing the answer. So there are two ways to come to the answer. One way to come to the answer is by knowing it. The other way is if I don't know the answer, I rule out A, C, D, E to come out to the answer that's B. And the way you do it is using signal to noise. And I'll also be talking about a hyper-reading technique I'll be teaching you that cuts question time from 90 seconds. So you take 90 seconds to read a question. You'll be able to complete that in 45 to 60 seconds. Now imagine what you can do. If you're reading a question in half the time, that gives you more time to think through the answer. And our research shows that it increases your rate of getting questions correct by about 35 to 40%, which is nuts. And this is a technique that I've been teaching for the past couple of years with amazing results, no matter who it is. And I'll show you, I will walk through this technique. I'll make sure that you get it. By knowing the answers is not what's get you to 270, and you will understand this when I show you these techniques. And the exact elimination system that guarantees at least a 250 plus minimum, anyone who works with me has a minimum of 250 plus on their USMLE step. And the reason is because we use very advanced tools. We use meta learning to teach students on how to study for step 2, so that it just becomes almost impossible to score lower than 250. And I'll also teach you the mentality of how to go from a USMLE prisoner to a USMLE assassin. Many of you feel like a prisoner to the USMLE. That's what a lot of my students tell me, is that I don't know how I can escape these steps. I just want to get done with this. And it's because you're getting tortured by the steps itself. The reason for that torture is because you don't know test taking. Once you know test taking, you will start hunting the USMLE. It just becomes a joke. You end up becoming a USMLE assassin. And I'll teach you how to go there as well. So the step 2 you're preparing for a lot of you, it does not exist anymore. And you will find that a lot of you who are going to take step, about in a month or two, you will start seeing crazy things on the step 2. There are many questions on step 2 now, which are more than a page long to read. And none of the NBMEs cover those, not even the free 120s. And that is a big surprise, that the question stem length has expanded to double or triple its length. And you will see 7 to 10 questions like that in every block. That's what a lot of recent test takers have told me. And I personally saw some of that transition myself when I was giving my step 2, that, oh my God, how are these questions so long? None of the MDM is prepared for this. This unpredictable time pressure destroying even high scorers because of this high question stem length. You'll also start seeing more ethics and questions, test your decision frameworks, because this is getting more and more important in the USMLE journey, and also to become a resident and then become a doctor in the US. And then you'll start seeing more micro and antibiotics questions, more going back to step 1, because step 1 is not pass fail. So that's a big change that's also happening. Okay, by the way, who the hell am I to teach this? Just for those of you who don't know me, my personal results are, I personally scored a 260 on the USMLE step 1 and a 271 on the USMLE step 2. So I can technically walk this talk, have the credibility to comment on these things because I personally endured through them. And I was able to personally outscore many other people and have brilliant results. I'm also the creator of Step Genie AI, which has scored about a 300 out of 300 on all the USMLE steps. Not even ChatGPT has been able to crack the USMLE to that extent. It's about 90%. Step Genie is the only AI which has a 300 out of 300 on the USMLE itself. I personally mentored about 10,000 plus students. I have another course, which is called as Exponential Advantage, which has 40,000 plus students worldwide, USMDs, the international medical graduates. I've trained about 1,750 students to a 270 plus on the step 2 myself. And I'll show you who these people are. Many of these people were hopeless, but I'm telling you, with these systems, they were able to outscore so many other people. And I personally, whoever I work with, has people get a 99.85% pass rate with me, which is unheard of. Currently, the pass rate for international medical graduates is close to 67%. It's been dropping. For, I think, DOs, it's about 81. And MDs, it's about 81 to 85%, something like that. And I personally, like me and my team, we have a 99.85% pass it across all the steps. These are my channels. I personally have a following of 200,000 plus on YouTube. On LinkedIn, I have a following of 45,000 followers. All of them are USMLE aspirants. And on Instagram, we're also growing pretty fast. It's 195,000 followers on Instagram. And all I do is obsess over USMLE and the match. Like you can match earlier and save your time and money. What have my students said? Just showing you how these systems that I'm going to teach you have impacted people. If you see this screenshot on the left side here, this person was failing the USMLE. He messaged me on Instagram. He took one of my courses and he was able to score 50 points higher, which is crazy. This is just what I'm trying to tell you is not people think about knowledge. I need more knowledge. Or what I'll tell you is a lot of the times going after more knowledge actually comes in the way of scoring high on step. It is actually the test taking skills which this person learned. At that time, I had this thing called elimination blueprint, which is also in my current courses, but that got this person 50 points higher on his step 2, which is crazy. This is another student of mine. He took my course and he got a 268 on the USMLE step. He himself wasn't struggling. He was pretty smart, but it did give him a boost of about 18 points on his USMLE. This is another student of mine. Her name's Carmen. So she was scoring pretty low. She was in the 200 or something. She came to me at that time. Step 1 was pass fail. She was studying for step 1 and was only getting like a 200 something from what I remember. And she ended up getting a 253 on her NBME 24 and 254 on her step 1 itself. So she is right now, I think she's a resident in the US, but these systems have helped people worldwide, no matter if they're MDs, DOs, and I could show you thousands of testimonials like this. I only had time to just grab a few of them, but many of these people have gotten 260s, 248s, they've just performed themselves what they thought was never possible using the systems that have developed over the last 5 years. Okay. And this is somebody that she was following one of my systems. She ended up scoring a 2.8 on USMLE Step 2. So she outcompeted even me. And I'm so proud of that. My goal here is that you even outcompete me and you end up getting a residency better. That's a goal. What I want you to do is I'm going to give you a lot of value. It's going to be crazy, the amount of value I'm going to give you. You would have not gotten this value even from a paid course. So what I'm going to ask you is close all the distractions. If you have Instagram open, any TikTok open, any WhatsApp open, just close all those distractions. I want you to promise me that you're going to commit to me to being the best student you can be. You're not going to just watch, you're going to absorb like a sponge. If possible, take notes on the 3 core systems I'm going to teach you, because again, these are worth thousands of dollars. If somebody wants to do a one-on-one tutoring session with me, people pay thousands of dollars just to learn these systems, which you'll be getting for free. So give me your full attention and promise me you're in, right? And just commit to this just for the next 1 hour. That's all I'm asking. And anyone who stays till the end, I'm going to make it worth your time because we'll be giving you our Match Predictor artificial intelligence, which was developed out getting data from 35,000 plus students to predict their chances of matching. And it's very accurate. So if you stay till the end, that tool is, by the way, worth $200. You'll be getting that for free. So here's what we are going to cover today. Again, just recapping the 2025 pattern shift, 3 core systems of 270 plus scorers, right? The complete blueprint. And I'll also be giving you our USMLE Wise Match Predictor, which is insanely accurate. And we'll be doing a live Q&A after this session ends. Just to give you a bit of more context into my story, before I became who I am, you saw the insane amounts of following, you saw the insane amounts of success I've had in my life. You saw how many students I've mentored to 270 plus. I was just like a student like you. I was probably even worse than a lot of you. So I remember my first anatomy test. I studied really hard for anatomy and it was being scored out of 20 and I scored 7 despite working really hard. I had tried to learn everything and I still was failing and it was sad. In first year of med school, I struggled a lot. I ended up failing one of my anatomy exams, which ended up holding me back for a while. So I understand if any of you has struggled with med school, I was one of you. Actually, I was the backbencher. I wasn't performing really well. And I specifically remember this breaking point in my life where there was a girl I really liked. And we were having a discussion. She was in med school with me. And she told me this. She told me that, Manik, you're a hard worker, but you're also average. So just keep working hard. And I think that destroyed me in first year. I was like, why me, God? Why can't I be like these people who are getting distinctions? Or why me? Why do I have to work so hard? And that day I made a promise to myself. I made a promise to myself that, you know what, if there's a system out there that can help me unlock my inner genius to basically outcompete myself and just keep learning and not forgetting, I'm going to find that system. And I ended up going to this person, and I'll show you their course as well. His name was Jim Quick, and I was very lucky to find his courses. And this guy himself had a brain injury. He had a brain injury, which ended up taking off, like, I think it was 50 IQ points off his IQ score. And he was disabled by that injury. And he gave up on life. He was like, I'm never going to achieve anything. I'm never going to make it to a successful part of me or whatever. So he was never able to like do anything with his life until he learned a technique called as meta learning. So meta learning is called as learning how to learn. When you start learning meta learning, something crazy happens. You end up learning things without forgetting them. You can research this technique. It's called meta learning. Because you're not forgetting things, you end up compounding your knowledge. For example, if I remember step 1 knowledge and I don't forget it, and I don't have to go revise it, I remember step 2 knowledge. Because of that, because my step 1 knowledge is not withering. I think of this as money. If I have money, then I can invest it somewhere and it's not getting out of my bank account. It's not getting spent, right? And I'm not losing it. I would have more money to invest that would compound faster. And this is the power of compounding knowledge. This is what he learned and what he taught me. So I ended up learning the techniques, a lot of those that I'm going to teach you from this person, which ended up getting me to what even geniuses can't get to. And this is where I want to just tell you that if you've been in my position, which is you've not been scoring well, you don't know where to go next, and a lot of people have lost hope on you, which I have felt, right? I'm going to show you my medical school transcripts as well to just give you more. I'm not just making this up. If you've been like that, there is a lot of hope. Trust me, never give up on hope, because I discovered this learning course and this changed my life. And my goal is to do the same for you. And these are the same techniques, the hyper reading system, the memory systems, pattern recognition, the elimination that I'm going to teach you, which will get you to genius levels. And this is completely under your reach. Okay. So just to give you proof, I'm not making this up. My step 1, if you look at my UWorld step 1, this is my first pass of UWorld step 1. I scored in the 90th percentile. I also took a screenshot. So I was preparing for step 1 in December, and you can see my scores are, I'm scoring about 93% in every block. And I'm going to ask you a question. If you think knowledge is the answer to outscoring in the USMLE or getting a 270, how the hell am I able to get a 90th percentile plus a 93% correct rate on the average across all my blocks on my first pass of UWorld? Because I don't even have a lot of knowledge right now. Think about it. If I'm doing UWorld, I don't know a lot of questions. I've not seen them. And yet I'm able to score 93% right in my first pass for step 1. And this is the same trend you will see for my step 1. When I was taking my UWSAs, I was scoring insanely high, 261, 263, 266. The answer is knowing test taking gives you crazy results. This is just, again, my score reports, just to tell you, I'm not making my scores up as well. Many people suspect I am, but just you can look up my score reports as well. And this is my UWorld first pass for step. And you can see I got 85% of my questions correct on step 2 on my first pass. And this is the screenshot from my UWorld step 2. And you can see I was scoring in the 94th percentile on my first pass. How can a backbencher who was failing anatomy end up getting 94th percentile on their USMLE step 2? The answer is it's not just knowledge. And this is just my UWSA scores. I'm going to just show you emails. So UWorld emails you your UWSA scores. My UWSA 1 score was 293. My UWSA score was 276. I actually ended up scoring lower than my scores, which is a disappointment. But I just want to show you how powerful what you're going to learn is actually, right? And for how many people has this actually worked? Again, my work, the reason I do this work is because I thought I was an average student. I was told I have no hope, that I would never reach my dreams. But I did, because I believed in myself. I was my biggest fan. My purpose right now is to be your biggest fan and to show you what you are capable of. Because a lot of people like you underestimate how much of a genius you are, because nobody has taught you how to uncover the inner genius. Our company, USMLE Vice, our goal is to create the next generation of genius doctors who would make illness optional, who would eliminate illness from the world. And the way to do it is using advanced artificial intelligence, meta learning techniques, super learning techniques, and teaching you how to get crazy results so you can go and create a world where illness is optional. And my goal is to make you extraordinary, no matter if you think you're average. I don't think you're average. You're a genius. And I'm going to prove it to you today. Okay. So let's go. Here's what's actually killing your score. Just again, I'm going to go into what the content of this webinar is. It's just not this, but I just need to give you an introduction to what we'll be going into so you can better absorb the information. So what's killing your score is not that you're not smart enough. You don't have to be a genius to score a 293. I am the sitting proof of that. It's not that you have to spend hours or years to study for step 2 to score such a high score. You don't need more UWorld passes. Many people will tell you, please do more UWorld passes. I can show you from my results. I did 1 pass and I still scored in the 270s. I didn't need 2 passes. The problem is that none of these it is that you're using a lot of the times old systems for an exam that is completely new. Let me give you an example. Let's say you are the world's best chef and I will give you rotten ingredients. I'm going to give you a rotten tomato. I'm going to give you a rotten pizza base. You're the world's best pizza chef. You're going to make an amazing pizza. But I'm going to give you all the rotten ingredients. No matter how good of a chef you are, if I give you rotten ingredients, what's going to happen? Type in the chat. Are you going to make an amazing pizza or is the pizza going to suck? So hopefully the answer is pizza is going to suck. And this is what a lot of students fall into a trap of, is they are amazing geniuses. It's just that the ingredients that they've gotten are rotten. They don't know how to source the right ingredients, how to use the right ingredients to get the quality of the pizza they're trying to make, which is their USMLE score. And this is because of bad resources, not knowing how to plan with resources, which are the rotten ingredients. You also think that knowing more is scoring higher. That's not true at all. There is a certain threshold of knowledge you need for the USMLEs for sure. But beyond that knowledge, it would not move your scores to 270s or a very high score. Many of you lack elimination systems. So I personally developed an elimination system called Exponential Advantage, which is used worldwide. I'm going to teach it to you. And that system helps you come to the answer without knowing the answer. I want you to imagine how powerful that would be. If you're able to come to the answer, knowing the answer, how would it feel like going into the USMLE Step 2 or Step 3, knowing that you can just figure it out? And that is a beautiful feeling because you get excited about the exam, not nervous. If you're spending a lot of time for questions, what ends up happening, this is another reason that I see, is because people take so much time for one question, they miss out on the rest of the questions, which tanks their scores. Or if they spend lots of time, more than 90 seconds on one question stem, and rightly because it's so long, what would that do? It would give them less time for other questions and that would decrease their score. So one of the things you need to learn is how to speed read questions, because once you're able to speed read questions, it would give you more time to think for the answer, which would translate to a higher score. And lastly, encoding information passively. I see a lot of students going, okay, I'll do these notes and they will fix everything. I will do this course and this will fix everything. So they're going for so many resources, but they end up not improving their score or end up failing because again, more resources are not the answer. It's just how do you mix those ingredients and how do you source the right ingredients that gets you to a 260, 270 on the step. So the cost of studying the old way is you're reinforcing bad habits. If you're trying to do a lot, you're wasting 60 to 70% of your study time and you're setting yourself up for a shock on a test day. You will see this happening with a lot of your friends who are not here, who will be surprised by the new step 2. And you're also risking failure. But with these systems, I'm going to promise you, none of you are going to fail at the least. And a 250 is a minimum with these systems. Okay. Before we proceed, like why does a 270 matter for you? Type in the chart. So you said, hey, I want a very high score on the USMLE Step 2. I want a 260 or 250. What would that do for you? Would put, let's say, a 10-point increase or a 20-point increase on your USMLE Step 2? Would it increase your chances of matching significantly? Would it give you double the number of interviews? Would it prevent you, let's say, save you 1 year of the match because you have more interviews and you can match on your first attempt? What would that 270 do for you? Would it open more doors? What specialty are you aiming for? Just type in the chart so I can see that as well. So many of you might be thinking, I've tried other resources and I'm not getting results. Will this be different? It's a valid question. You will see as we go that you will start seeing the effects right away. So I'm going to give you something you can apply right away and that will boost your score. Can someone like me actually score a 270? I have many students who were on the bridge of failing step 2 and they ended up scoring 260, 270 easily. So 100%. I don't have enough time for my exam. I think if you don't have enough time, we'll figure out a way to get you to where you want using our systems. And I'll discuss that later as well. Again, the biggest mystery in medical education, let me ask you another bigger mystery in medical education before I go into this, is you would have seen many of your medical school toppers who score distinctions. They're always in the library. They have perfect attendance. They know everything. And the USMLE, they score 230 to 240. Some even failed. Then you might know some backbenchers who don't study much, have average grades, and not always in class. They seem casual and they end up scoring 260, 270. What the hell is going on? And again, the answer is many of your backbenchers end up becoming USMLE assassins because they possess test techniques. They lack knowledge. So they make up for that knowledge in many ways by learning test taking skills to come to the answer without knowing the answer. That was me. Then they learn other systems to come to the answer. They learn how to read faster. That is a USMLE assassin. A prisoner to the USMLE is somebody who lacks test taking skills. So they need to know the answer to come to the, and they take a lot of time to read, which gives them less time across all questions, which tanks their score. So sometimes that knowledge can hold you back a lot of the times for scoring higher. Knowledge is good, but if you think you have too much knowledge and you don't need to learn testing skills, you'll end up scoring low. So the 7 powers of testing skills, they help you come to the answer without knowing it. I'll show you this in action later. Increase performance on every single question on the test. Once you learn testing skills, you're not just increasing your performance on one question. You're increasing your performance on every single question. And that is why you see these exponential effects of me scoring in 293 on my UWSA. They ensure consistency across all exams. If I know how to come to the answer without knowing the answer, guess what? You can give me any NBME and I'll figure the answer out somehow. And because of that, my score will remain consistent across all exams. They significantly boost question-based learning. You will see this as well. As you learn testing skills, you learn 2 to 3 times better than somebody who does not know testing skills because you're learning through the angle of the question writer, what they want you to learn and how they want you to eliminate. They end the practice stage where your scores are not improving. They end the sense of powerlessness when you go to the USMLE that I'm not scoring high. I don't know what I'm going to do. I'm nervous about my steps. You will not feel this way. And they end the unpredictable nature of the test. I knew when I was going in my step 2 and step 1, I was not going to fail. I was going to at least score 250 plus easily, even if I did not get any. So they will end that unpredictable nature of the test if you learn them. So the old paradigm is you need to study, memorize, recall under pressure, and hope you remember. And then you take a lot of time for questions, and then you end up being a prisoner to the exam. The new paradigm is of the USMLE assassin, where you learn testing skills like pattern recognition, signal extraction, strategic elimination, and then you're able to come to the answer pretty fast using hyperreading, which is a system I'll teach you. And that is what creates the new 260s and 270s. So in the next 30 minutes, I'll go deep into my elimination technique, my testing technique, and then I'll teach you how to study for step, because many of you have been asking for plans on how to do this. Okay. We'll be dividing it into 3 sections. Let's first go into what is called as the signal to noise ratio. And let me teach you how to eliminate. So every question you go on the USMLE has 2 things. It has a signal, which is the 15% of the question, which is what matters to come to the answer. That 85% of the question is noise. USMLE will give you a lot of distractors to distract you from the right answer because they're testing you. 85% of what on a question generally ends up being noise, and 15% is the signal. So you need to be able to extract. That's what USMLE assassins do. People who end up hunting the USMLE end up scoring 260s, 270s, is they extract the signal, they figure out the noise, and then they rule out the noise, and they eliminate strategically after they get the signal and the noise, and they find answers without knowing. Let me show you this in action. If I was somebody who's a prisoner, I'm going to read this question. All of this, I'm going to read it equally. And I'm going to get lost in the details. I'll run out of time and I'll forget what was at the beginning by the end. So I'm going to teach you how to do this. And we'll do a question just after this. So the framework for the signal to noise ratio is this. You're going to start with the question stem first. So the last line, which is the key, you're going to start with this last line. So that what's the purpose of the question? What are the answers you're looking for? It's very much if you go to a grocery store and if you know what you want, you will figure out the answer in the grocery store. That if they have, let's say, milk, you want milk. You go to the grocery store, you will not be distracted by the unnecessary chips or Coke, or let's say if they have a pizza, you're not going to get distracted by the noise. You're going to figure out the signal very fast if you start with what they're asking, which is the key of the stem. I'm going to teach you how to do that as well. Number 1 is look at the key first, which is the question stem first. This should not take you a lot of time, less than 10 seconds. Second is clue spotting. You're going to look at different things. Signals. What's the age? What is the chief complaint? What's the timeline? What are the abnormal findings? You're going to start looking for the clues, which is your milk. What do you want for the grocery? Maybe eggs. And then you're going to look at the noise and you're going to start ruling out the noise, which is normal vitals, negative findings for a certain condition, irrelevant history. Third, you are going to do pattern recognition, which is what diagnosis clusters emerge after you've read the stem, after you've done your clue spotting, and what pathways would this activate. We'll talk about this, how to do this as well. And then we'll start eliminating by mechanism, by type, by pattern, by USMLE style, how USMLE likes to ask these questions. Let's do this right now. So I want somebody to volunteer right now for me because I want to make this interactive. Can somebody raise their hand? And okay. So Vidhi, you can, let's go with Vidhi right now because she raised her arm first. Vidhi, can you turn on your camera?
Yes, sir. Just a second. Am I visible?
Yeah.
Okay.
I don't think you're visible, but that's completely okay. If you can't turn on your camera, I think now you're visible. Thanks for, but where are you joining from, by the way?
I'm in Georgia right now.
Oh, awesome, Georgia. And what year are you in? Let's go.
Step year.
Oh, awesome. And you'll be writing your step 2 when?
So right now I'll be writing my step 1 in few months.
Okay. So you're preparing for step 1 and you also just want to have a game plan for step.
Yeah.
So we're going to solve a question live. Don't get nervous. I also get nervous when I'm solving questions, but I'm going to share my screen and I want you to try to solve this question for me. And we'll go over first how normally typically just read the question as you would read it. And I want you to guess the answer. What do you think is the answer? And then we'll implement the test taking framework so everyone can learn from this. I'll work with you to implement this as well. Let me share this screen right now. Can you see my screen right now here?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So I want you to read this question for me. I think let me just put a different question here. Okay. So let's use this question. Okay. I want you to start reading this question for me, just the way you read it, and try to come to the answer. Let's go.
Okay. A 75-year-old woman is brought to the emergency department after losing consciousness at her home. She has a history of getting up from her bed and falling and losing consciousness for several seconds. She has a history of atrial fibrillation, hypertension, and angina. She is currently taking aspirin, chlorothalidone, warfarin, nitroglycerin as needed. She's a pulses 110 per minute and regular. Blood pressure is 98/52 and she has a dry tongue on physical examination and her capillary refill time is 4 seconds. Cardiopulmonary examination is normal. Further investigation of this patient will most likely show increased stroke. Okay, so he has dry tongue. Capillary refill is more and she's 75 years old. Is there absent P waves on ECG?
Okay, guys. The answer right now is, let me just start drawing. It's absent P waves. Okay. So I think this was a great attempt. What do you think is the answer, guys? Just type in the chat. What do you think is the answer? I think I see a lot of good ones. So right now we are at absent P waves. Many people think it's C. Okay. But let me ask you a question. Again, I'm doing something to distract you as well. Why not increase troponin? She has a history of angina and she just lost consciousness. Why can't she have heart attacks? Left ventricular hypertrophy. Why cannot be at left ventricular hypertrophy? She does have hypertension. Okay. Why not popliteal vein? She's 75 years old. She's a woman. She has multiple factors that make her predisposed to, again, I'm playing the devil's advocate here as well, by distracting you, by giving you some details. Why cannot it be popliteal vein in this? Because she lost consciousness. She could have had a pulmonary embolism. She has risk factors and this can happen. Some of these can happen in popliteal vein. Great. I think great responses. Elevated BUN could also be the answer, possibly, because she's hypertensive. So this is classic conundrum I see with a lot of students. And this is exactly, I think Vidhi is brilliant based on she knows the absent P waves. She saw atrial fibrillation. But there's a very big difference in being brilliant with knowledge and brilliant with testing. Because USMLE, as you saw, does not test knowledge. It tests a level higher than knowledge, which is your ability to execute on that knowledge and rule out conditions and figure out the answer, because that's how life works. And let me give you a system we'll dissect this through the system, and then you guys will come to the answer. So Vidhi will do this, okay?
Yes, sir.
So let me teach you the system. So the system is signal and noise. You're going to look at two things, and I want you to tell me what signal and noise for each of these. So a signal is anything that tells you it's a positive clue. It tells you that a certain differential is the answer. It's a positive clue. A noise is either number one, it's commission. There's noise by commission or noise by omission. So if they give you a negative clue explicitly, for example, cardio examination is normal. That is a noise or negative clue by commission. It's telling you that a certain answer is not the answer because they've explicitly said that. Then there is noise by omission, which is, for example, if this patient was having myocardial infarction, where is the chest pain? Because MI generally has chest pain. There is no chest pain here. If this patient was having, let's say, DVT, where is the leg pain? I don't see that. So if they don't mention it, it is also a negative clue that they're giving you. So you need to look at the ratio of the positive clues to the ratio of negative clues, so signal to noise, whichever answer choice. You need to do it for all answer choices, and whichever answer choice has the highest signal to noise ratio is the answer. And that is how you're going to eliminate things. So can you come back?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So let's read through this question, and we're going to look at, I hope you got the signal to noise ratio. So let's look at each of the answer choices. Let's look at increased troponin. Okay. So increased troponin. What in this tells you it's increased troponin? We are just looking at the signals. What here is a positive clue that tells you it's increased troponin, which is answer number. What's the positive clue?
He has a history of angina.
Okay, angina is a positive clue. Anything else? Would you say syncope is another one? You can lose consciousness with MI if your heart goes into heart failure. Can you have hypotension with MI, especially ventricular MI?
No, I don't think so.
You can't have hypotension with MI? You can.
Oh, yeah, I can try.
Yeah, no worries. Don't need to say sorry. So your blood pressure can drop, correct? And you can have dry tongue because the capillary refill time can be there. Yes. What here tells you it's not MI? Negative clues. I just type in the chat because I'm looking at this. What are the negative clues that tell you it's not increased troponin? Okay. So no chest.
Chest pain, yes.
Anything else with it? What have they not mentioned here that tells you it's not MI? So a lot of you are good at commission. If they explicitly say, let's say cardiopulmonary examination is normal. If this is MI, we might have had something in the cardiopulmonary examination which is lacking. That is also an explicit, they have stated that is a negative clue. Any other negative clue that they are giving you and by omission? Do they talk about an EKG with it?
No.
Okay, so negative EKG, that's not. What do you think about the signal to noise ratio? Is it that really good? Is it that good? Because we have multiple positive clues, but then we have multiple negative clues. Do you think it's a good signal to say?
I think it is a good because half of the things we are able to rule out already. And the main thing which you have highlighted in the green, it's all.
What do you think is the answer? Is A the answer there? Based upon this signal to noise ratio?
I don't think it's A.
Right, because again, signal to noise ratio is not as high as it should be technically compared to others. We'll talk about others as well. It's not the best answer. Let's look at absent P waves or EKG, which was your original answer. So let's talk about that. If you're looking at this, let me just erase this a bit. There has to be eraser here somewhere. Yeah. So we did, hey guys, please remember that. Now we'll go over B as well. So let's look at B, which is your absent P waves. Tell me why could it be absent P waves? What's the positive clues for them? What is the negative clues? A lot of people here get stuck to one answer, guys. Do not be like that on your step. I want you to be very open-minded that I could be wrong with any of the answer choices. Even if the first answer choice that I came to is the right, is what I think, you could be very wrong. Trust me, that is what kill score is, certainty. What I wanted to do is instead use mathematics, and we are going to calculate signal to noise ratio, and we are going to be open to all answer choices being the answer. And that is how you get a 260, 270. So Vidhi, I just want to tell you, tell me what made you pick absent P waves?
Actually, I hurried up and I saw the atrial fibrillation.
Okay.
Yes, but then it's a history. Right now, her pulse is regular, so it can't.
Yeah, regular pulse.
Yeah, so it can't be the absent P wave. I was wrong.
She also said something very interesting. She hurried up. This is what happens when you don't know how to read fast, which I talk about. Because when you start reading faster, there will be certain things that happen where you get more time to think. Because I've read faster, I've looked at the whole combination, I get 60 seconds more to answer the question because now I can think slower, I can really think deeper, I'll get more things right, like Vidhi could have. I will teach you that as well, Vidhi. So you're saying there's a regular pulse, but there's AFib. What else tells you it could be AFib? Guys, type in the comments as well. What about syncope? Is AFib, uncontrolled AFib, lead to, let's say, an embolus and cause stroke? So it could lead to a syncope.
Syncope usually involves apnea. It shouldn't be the answer to, it can be ruled out too.
Syncope doesn't always have a tachypnea. But anyways.
But it also involves chest pain.
Not
and
always,
there's enough chest pain.
Not always. AFib does not always have chest pain. That's a good one. But this is what so I'm just going to point some things out. This is what happens. One of the things that happens when you don't learn test taking is people don't learn how to differentiate between different conditions. What are the positive clues, negative clues? And this is what kills scores. Because I learned test taking from the get-go, I was learning how to differentiate these conditions at scale using questions. And I was able to be like, okay, this positive clue means this negative clue means this. So I was able to very easily differentiate, generate positive clues and negative clues, come to the signal to noise ratio and rule out answers fast. But like not all AFibs have chest. They'll feel tachycardia. So you're seeing the pulse is high, which is also, so tachycardia is another clue to the positive clue that we are adding. But pulse is regular, you're right. Possibly, maybe the answer, maybe not the answer, but it's still there, absent P waves. It's still, we have some negative clues. Would you say?
Then
let's look at elevated BUN. So tell me, let's draw the signal to noise ratio. What are the positive clues that tell you it's elevated BUN and negative clues? And I want you to be able to play the devil's advocate. This is a very important skill. Even if you think it's the right answer, I want you to be the critic and tell yourself why is it not the right answer? What could be wrong in this? So Vidhi, tell me, why could it be elevated BUN? Somebody is saying, I'm just going to write that. So she is on chlorothalidone, which is the diuretic, which can cause you to lose water. So she is on a diuretic. Anything else, Vidhi?
She has a
low blood pressure. Anything else?
The capillary refill time is also more.
Okay, capillary refill time is more.
And
pulse is high, somebody said. If you have hypotension, you can have high pulse, of course. Would you say dry tongue is one?
Dry tongue, yes.
Happening with low, let's say, fluids, can it happen if you?
Yes.
Yeah. And what are the negative clues that tell you? Be devil's advocate, guys. Tell me, why could it not be elevated BUN? And you have to be able to be like a devil's advocate. If you can't be, you're going to score low. So just tell me, why could it not be elevated BUN? Okay. So I think many of you just cannot generate that answer, and that's completely okay. But other clues like a positive history, like uremic symptoms are not present. That's a good one. BUN means aresia failure, but there's a volume overload syncope, no history of CKD. A lot of good points, but you have to be able to generate good negative clues Because CKD does not mean you don't have to have CKD to have hypovolemia or elevated BUN. And this is where people get lost, is they think you need to have CKD to have BUN by creatinine ratio, whatever, high BUN. You don't always have to have uremic symptoms with slightly elevated BUN. So again, just learning how, this is the power of testing. Once you learn how to dissect questions using signal to noise ratio, you will be able to ask good questions that will help you differentiate different conditions. And if you learn this from day one, imagine how good your results will be, that I can generate a signal to noise. And as I'm learning through that, that is what gets you a 260, 270. Let's go to the other ones. So left ventricular hypertrophy. So Vidya, I wanted to tell me why would it be left ventricular hypertrophy? Why would it be positive clues? I don't want you to get attached to one answer, because I'm telling you, you will be surprised how you think one answer is the right answer. On step 2, it flips. So left ventricular hypertrophy. What are the positive clues they're giving you for LVH?
I don't think it can be, because I can see 2 negative clues, which is usually left ventricular hypertrophy presents with the high blood pressure, but here the blood pressure is low.
For now, but she has a history of hypertension. If you have a history of hypertension, can't you have developed chronically LVH?
Yes. So,
right? LVH, so high blood pressure, but right now it's low. Anything else that includes for LVH, guys, that you think is the case? This could be LVH. What are the negative clues? Tell me in the comments, or will they tell me what are the negative clues that tell you it's not LVH?
the syncope shouldn't be presented with the left ventricular hypertrophy.
Okay. So syncope, not necessarily, but you still can have it. See, they're not asking that. You're asking further evaluation of the patient will most likely show what. Somebody said amazing, cardiopulmonary examination is normal. What does that tell you? No S4. This is what so negative clue by commission is no S4. They're telling you her cardiopulmonary examination is normal. If they check LVH, it will be S4. There's no S4. So what I'm trying to tell you guys, look at this. You need to not be attached to one answer, because many of you, one of the reasons you score low is you get attached to one answer and you don't calculate the signal to noise ratio for each of the steps. And because of that, you're biased in many ways. You come to the answer first and you're like, this is the answer. You have to be able to play the devil's advocate and tell yourself why it is not the answer, and try to use your scientific mind. You couldn't have to study for each of the answer choices to come to the answer. Let's look at, but LVH, so maybe could be the answer, but there's a lot of noise here. What about popliteal vein clot, Vidhi? What here tells you it's popliteal vein clot?
Could be.
So DVT, popliteal vein clot.
Yeah.
What are the clues? What are the negative clues that tell you it's DVT? Somebody is saying no travel history, could be a negative clue. Okay. She's a female, that's a positive clue. Can DVT cause syncope by pulmonary embolism? So syncope could be one. What else? She has no leg pain. So this is very important. So many people are unable to generate negative clues by omission. Well, omission means I've not mentioned it, but the fact that I've not mentioned it is a negative clue. So if there's no leg pain, what does that tell you? Likely not, maybe there are, but could be. But again, I'm trying to calculate the ratio because it helps me come to the answer faster and use my scientific mind. So female, she can have syncope, she can have pulmonary embolism, and the pulmonary embolism can cause hypotension. So the hypotension can be present. She can also have dry tongue because again, blood is not flowing everywhere. Capillary refill time can increase. So hypotension can be present. Capillary refill time can be present here higher. Likely could be DVT, but also there's a lot of negative clues that tell me it's not DVT. What about friction rub, guys? Could it be friction rub?
It usually suggests pericarditis, but here in the question, there's no sign of.
I don't want you to tell me that. I want you to tell me the signal to noise ratio. So in this question, guys, this is very important. From now on, don't just use binary terms. This is the answer, not the answer. I want you to think in terms of probability, which is this high probability or low probability, not binary terms, because that is what causes you to get answers wrong. So Vidhi, tell me why it could be. I wanted to play the devil's advocate as well, but also tell me why could it be and could not be. So what are the positive clues towards pericarditis?
The high capillary, but
yeah, sometimes pericarditis, you can have effusion, whatnot, that can cause hypertension. She's old, probably female, can happen. She might have gotten some viral infection. But what are the negative clues here? The negative clues here are no chest pain, like somebody in cardiopulmonary examination is normal. They have given it to you. No cardiopulmonary examination. So based upon that, guys, what do you think is the answer? We have done the signal to noise ratio here for each of the answer choices. What's the answer? What do you think, Adi, is the answer with?
I think it's C.
Okay, so it's C. That's correct. But what I want to tell you is this. Let's say I don't know the answer. What do I do in this? This is very important. If I did not know the answer, how would I come to the answer here? I would just calculate the signal to noise ratio. I would look at increased troponin. There are some signals, angina pectoris, but I'm not getting carried away by the history. I'm also looking at the negative clues and I'm like, okay, if this was a really heart attack, where is the chest pain? I don't see any chest pain. So likely not this increased troponin, because I know in MI, you need to have chest pain. So knowledge is not enough. You're seeing that right now. It's the ability to generate negative clues on command and rule things out along with positive clues. Absent P waves. Could it be? Yes, AFib. But at the same time, she has regular rhythm. And the cardiopulmonary examination is also normal. Maybe it would have been somewhat normal. So I can rule that out. C, I'll leave that for right now because I'm unsure. This could be the answer, but I'll keep my eyes on it. LVH. Yes, she has hypertension, but at the same time, the cardiopulmonary examination is normal. I'll rule this out. Popliteal vein clot can cause coronary embolism, but then cardiopulmonary examination is normal. It should be abnormal here. Friction rub cardiopulmonary examination is normal, and I can rule that out and I can come to the answer. Even if I know this one detail, cardiopulmonary examination is normal. I can rule out almost like increased troponin because in MI, you can have something wrong with the cardiopulmonary examination. Technically, I can rule out this absent P waves. I can rule out LVH because S4 is not there, the based on cardiopulmonary examination. I can rule out this popliteal vein clot because as you saw, you should have some kind of abnormal rhythm or some issue going on with the cardiopulmonary examination in PE, right ventricular stress or something like that. That could generate something. I could rule that out. Technically, a friction rub, I can rule that out. Even if you say popliteal vein clot, not really, or if you say, Manik, I don't really agree with increased troponin, you can't use cardiopulmonary examination. Where I can use the cardiopulmonary examination is here and here, at least D, F, and I would say so D and F at the least, or maybe D. So if I'm able to rule out 50% of the answer choices, which is 3 out of 6, now I have a 50% chance of higher chance of getting this question correct. Anyone else has what? They have about a 16% chance of getting correct if they don't know test checking skills. So what I'm trying to tell you is this: your ability to rule out, your ability to come to the answer without knowing it is very powerful because it shifts the odds across all questions. Some questions are knowledge-based, and I get it, but most of them are not. So if you're able to rule things out, and we'll do another example with one of you, and we'll use test taking skills to test it. Okay, because my goal is to teach you test taking skills by the end of this, so you're able to do this on your own. Okay. Thank you, Vidhi, for joining us. Can somebody else raise their hand? Okay, let me just see who's raising their hands. Okay. So I think we can get Dhwani. Okay. Dhwani Mehta, I think. Maybe we can get Himanshu.
I'm great.
Oh, sorry. I think I shall get. So Dhwani, can you start your camera if possible?
Okay.
We'll do another example just to needle this one in. Okay. Let me see if this can. Okay, it did. Hi. Where are you joining us from?
I'm joining from India.
Okay. And where are you in your step prep?
So I'm about to taken my 3-month study block for step 2, and I should be good to go like in a month or so, maybe.
Wow. Okay. So you're in like about 2 to 3 months. And just getting this, what's your UWorld pass? Like, where are you with your NBME? How are you scoring?
I have already done my first pass of UWorld, and my NBME score is somewhere around 230 to 40.
Okay. 230s, 240s. Okay. Let's implement this technique and really get value. Can you read this question for me?
Yeah, sure. So which of the following is the most likely cause of the patient's symptoms? Okay. So it's a 3-year-old boy with DeJoy syndrome brought to the emergency department after a 2-minute generalized tonic-clonic seizure. And for the past week, the patient has been increasingly tired, has severe morning headache. Okay. So there are signs of probably raised ICP, which have not been relieved by acetaminophen or ibuprofen. He has been dragging his right leg for 7 days while walking. Appetite decreased and he's been vomiting after waking up. So definitely signs of raised ICP. The patient's family recently immigrated from a developing country to obtain care for his unrepaired tetralogy of Fallot. The patient has a speech delay and history of recurrent pneumonia and sinus infection, temperature raised. Physical examination shows a tired appearing child with dysmorphic facial features. Right lower extremity exhibits decreased strength and ankle deep tendon reflexes are hyperactive. So something happening in UMN, and the left lower extremity is normal. There is no truncal ataxia. So which of the following is the most likely cause? So reading out the options, first of all, thromboembolic stroke, I would like to rule it out because at 3 years, it's not the thing. Secondly, as the patient is exhibiting fever, it goes to a more infectious pathology. And seeing it's a tetralogy of recurrent infections and the jaws, like
It cannot happen with tumors, you're saying? Because I thought fever.
Yeah, no tumors, no.
Because it can sometimes, you know that fever can.
Yeah, definitely, yes, it can. Not in this case.
Okay, and again, this is the issue is many people. This is why I'm telling you, don't think in binaries because people will be yes or no. This is the answer. I get it. You need probabilistic to get higher scores on step 2. Don't say binary. Is this the answer or yes or no? Just tell me signal to noise ratio. Why could this be the answer? This not be the answer. So you said thromboembolic stroke. Let's go with what signals here for thromboembolic stroke. Let's dissect the questions. What are the signals in this could be?
I don't think that it could be a stroke.
Tell me why, because can't you have, if I have a stroke, could you not have UMN symptoms like you described?
No, definitely
You can't
but,
have upper motor neurologic signs in this stroke.
But here, like the age doesn't fit well with thromboembolic stroke.
Okay, so you're saying the negative clue is the age.
Yes.
Okay.
No doubt, we have an unrepaired tetralogy of, but still, like they have even the history of developing country, and it could be something related to infective endocarditis also. But
can't tetralogy of phalloid cause a paradoxical embolism, which can cause stroke? Okay, so we can relate to this. So VST is a positive. No, but all I'm trying to show to people is the reason most people get it wrong is they are so stuck to one thing. And again, you could be, I'm trying to tell you, this is not then whether it's the answer or not, but people get stuck to one diagnosis, and then based upon that diagnosis, they get biased, and they're like, it's nothing else but this answer. And then that translates into not as good of a score that they like. Well, I want you to really be the researcher and tell me why you're wrong as well. And that's how you get to this. And the wrong is negative clues. What are the negative clues that maybe have to be detached to this diagnosis, but can UMN symptoms like dragging his right leg happen as you're seeing? And it's been a week long. Can a stroke be, of course,
acute.
Yeah, it can be acute. So, but it can have some of these symptoms. The UMN signs can stay. So it can be subacute as well. Even if it's acute, the subacute symptoms could be there. So I would consider yes, maybe. So there are some positive clues. And by the way, strokes can cause a fever, like it or not. Strokes can cause fever. So fever could be one of the symptoms. So this is why I'm trying to tell you, if people don't know how to generate good signal to noise ratio, you can have all the knowledge in the world and come to the wrong answer. You're not able to differentiate or delineate or generate the signal to noise. So thromboembolic stroke, less likely, but there are some negative clues that, that are telling you it's not the case, but there are some positive clues. So you have to be able to be a researcher and be like, okay, maybe, but likely, maybe you can rule this out. So tell me about rest of you. What do you think about, let's say, hey, bacterial meningitis? Could it be bacterial meningitis?
It could be, because we have positive, like,
Yeah, what are the positive clues for this?
One is fever. Secondly, there is some Pericarditis syndrome. So it could be recurrent infections that can lead to meningitis.
Infection. Okay. What goes towards bacterial meningitis?
So basically, there has to be neck rigidity, something like that.
Neck rigidity. Correct.
Yeah, that is something that's not given. And secondly, in such a young child, like 3 years old, they may have some sort of rash or something. Yeah, so there is no external skin examination finding also that may support it. And the other thing is, apart from seizure, there are no other signs of altered mental status also given in the question. And
no AMS.
Maybe, so not bacterial meningitis.
But headaches, you forgot headaches. Can bacterial meningitis cause?
Yeah. It can cause headache, but here the headaches are more characteristic of raised intracranial pressure, because they say it's typically a morning headache. It's associated with vomiting when he wakes up.
So you're saying meningitis cannot cause vomit?
No, it can, but the pattern of headache and it does not get along well with bacterial meningitis.
Let me break it to you, it does. I don't know what resources you just being honest. This headache, the increased ICP, what you're telling me can happen in meningitis. All I'm trying to tell you is, again, I'm also playing the devil's advocate, and I'm trying to help you generate the positive clues and negative clues, because again, it's a game of probability. And when you can play probability, that's how you get to the answer. Tell me about brain abscess. Could this be the answer?
It could be, because at the Fagan, it happens to be a space-occupying lesion in the brain. And secondly, it is very localized. And whatever signs we are seeing right now, like dragging off the right leg, so it could be something, a localized thing happening in the left part of the brain, the left cerebral hemisphere, that could be causing. Yes.
Also have fever, headaches, UN signs.
Yes. And secondly, sinus infection is the strongest predisposing factor for any sort of brain abscess also to occur. So that is one thing.
What are the negative clues that it's not brain abscess? Okay. So people are saying no imaging, no MRI, no CT done. That could be one of those. So I can write this down maybe. But this is, again, you have to think about, are these strong negative clues? Because negative clues by omission are weaker than negative clues by commission. So I'll say no CT for no imaging. Anything else? What about him having Digeorge syndrome? Or he's at a young age. Can Digeorge syndrome cause hypocalcemia, which can trigger
it can.
seizures? So Digeorge syndrome itself can be a negative clue. I'm just teaching you how to think through this. Okay. So there are some negative clues. There are a lot of positive clues. Maybe this is the answer. So I'll consider this. What about which of the following is most likely responsible for this patient's symptoms? So can Diagnosing syndrome cause hypocalcemia?
Yes, it can.
So what are the positive clues here for, okay, so this guy has Diagnosing syndrome, guys, what else? Hypocalcemia, can it cause seizures? Yes. Can it also cause techne or hyperreflexia? But it should not be localized. Hyperreflexia tells me maybe it's not, right? But again, I'm going to keep that in my mind. Maybe it could be hypocalcemia. What about hypoglycemia? Can hypoglycemia, positive clues, can it cause seizures?
Yeah, it can cause seizures.
It can cause
but not
headache.
really.
Not the times, but the UNN signs rule this up. What about hyponatremia? Can hyponatremia maybe happen in this case, Diagnosing syndrome or whatever? Less likely, but seizures. This person has seizures. It can cause cerebral edema. So it can cause cerebral edema over time, which can cause maybe not UNN signs, but maybe it can cause your truncation, like herniation or whatnot. Very less chances, but that can happen. What about medulloblastoma? Let's calculate this. Can medulloblastoma cause positive clues, negative clues? What are the positive clues for medulloblastoma? You would say.
It can raise ICP, yes.
What about fever? Can tumors cause fever, slight fever?
No.
One second. Let me just, can tumors cause slight fever? Okay. So can tumors, let me show you. Especially if it's brain tumor, there is a lot of data. Yes, some tumors can cause a mild low-grade fever, but infections are much common. I'm just telling you because on the step 2, they do have tumors which can cause fevers, some tumors. So you don't get questions wrong and you don't rule things out. Again, here in the context, you're right, like probably. But in the bigger context, as you're going through this, some tumors, yes, can cause fever. Just be aware of that. So the negative clues here are, again, the fever. Yes, you can consider this, but it can also happen. But the localized UMN signs could also happen in positive clues. So medulloblastoma can cause the right lower extremity and just cause hyperreflexia in that because it's causing, let's say, suppressing that part of your brain. So it is possible. Anything else that's a negative clue here towards tumor? It can also cause seizures, guys. So medulloblastoma can also cause seizures. The answer is no truncal ataxia, as somebody said. So this is what I'm trying to tell you is if you know how to rule things out, yes, it does require a certain level of threshold knowledge. But if you're able to rule things out, it makes life very easy. And also if you're able to dissect the question stem like this, plus the answer choices, you're a very high chance of getting it right and not wrong. A lot of the times when you're attached to, let's say, the answer here is brain abscess, by the way. It's not just bacterial meningitis, it's brain abscess because of these localized symptoms. So when you have localized symptoms in your body, it's because there's a space occupying lesion. Generally, could be medulloblastoma, could be brain abscess, but here brain abscess is more likely given the confluence of symptoms of what you're seeing with infection. But the USMLE, this is how it will give you, is it will give you a lot of noise and there will be some signals. You extract the signals to noise ratio. And once you do that, you're very high chance of coming to the right answer and just eliminating the wrong answers. So let's just continue with our presentation. Hopefully that was helpful. And this is basically how you score that high, especially if you're preparing for your step 2 and step 1, and you get 93% correct on your first parts or 84% on your second puzzle UWorld, despite not knowing answers. If you just know elimination, it's going to add at least 20 to 30 points to your USMLE score. Type in the chat if you honestly felt this was helpful, as just dissecting the question stem, learning signal to noise ratio. Type yes if it was helpful, type no if it was not, and be honest if this was helpful. I just want your feedback to see if it is helping you or not really. Next technique I'm going to teach you guys is hyper reading, which is the ability to add at least 15 to 20 points to your score. Overall, will give you 45 to 65 points. But let me teach you hyper reading. So a lot of you guys saw these people reading, and again, these people are amazing, but they're reading too slow. This is too slow for the USMLE. USMLE requires you to read very fast. So generally, the PrinceMLE, they are reading 200 to 250 words per minute, which takes them 90 or 90 plus seconds per question, generally. And this takes them way more time than it should take them for the whole exam. Generally, you should not be taking more than 90 seconds per question, because if you're taking that much time, you're going to run out of time in the whole block. But some things that many USMLE assassins do is they're using this technique called hyper reading, where they double their reading speed, which allows them to take half the time, almost half the time as it takes a normal person to the question, which allows them. We saw this in Vidhi's case. She actually tried to come to the answer really fast because she thought she would run out of time maybe on the whole block. Maybe that's the conditioning that's built in. But what we need to do is shorten our question reading time and increase our thinking time to get higher scores. This will allow us to finish questions fast, do all the questions in the whole block, get higher scores, number one, through that. But also we're increasing our thinking time because we're reading faster. Let's read this. I'm going to teach you this technique that I personally learned and I think it's changed my life. And it's called pacing and indentation speed reading. So I'm going to teach it to you as well. Number one thing, you're going to use your mouse as your pacer. So what studies have found is that when you use your finger or your mouse as a pacer, you read faster. The reason is this. when you're not using your finger to read or your mouse to read your cursor through the question, what happens is your eyes without the mouse uses saccades. Saccades they're not completely smooth. So whenever you're going from left to, your eyes are using saccades. So saccades are, if I'm going to the right, there's a slight nystagmus. Then I go to the right, there's a slight nystagmus. And I go to the right, there's a slight nystagmus. So if you can see my eyes and I'm going from left to right, you can see it is not a smooth movement. There is a definite interruption if I just use my eyes. But if I use a pacer, like I'm looking at the pacer, I'm going from left to, my eyes don't really engage in saccades as much. And because of that, you read faster. So the first technique I'm going to teach you is using a pacer, which is your finger, your cursor to guide your eyes to move smoothly across the text. Eyes will follow the pacer. It also prevents regression, which is rereading the question stem, and you can maintain a consistent speed, and this will increase your reading speed by 50% minimum. The second technique is indentation. In indentation, what we are doing is we are using our peripheral vision to read the question. So a lot of the times what happens is when students are reading questions, they are going from the extreme left of the question to the extreme. What that does is they're using central vision when they're going from extreme left to the extreme, and that takes a lot of time because they're just using their central vision. So what we are going to do is something completely different, what is called as indentation. We're going to draw lines 1/4 on the left side and 1/4 on the right side. And you're going to not start from sample text. We're not going to start from sample text. We're going to start from where. So when you look at where, you are able to see something on the left side. As you get better with this, you can actually compress the lines even more. But as you're reading, I want you to start with where. Your eyes should be able to technically see sample text showing or some part on the left. But you're starting with where, that's where your eyes will start. And then you're using your cursor to go from left to the right. Where your eyes should focus between the two lines, using peripheral vision to capture. Let's say I finish here and then I go to the next one. So I'm drawing a line here. And we'll use this as well. So I want a volunteer for this. Can somebody volunteer? And I'm going to teach this technique. Okay. Let's go to Deepu. Deepu, can you tell me where are you coming from? Where are you coming from?
I'm in India.
Oh, Kerala. Awesome. I love Kerala. Like I lived in Bangalore. Kerala was close. A lot of Malu friends, by the way. Awesome. How are you doing? Where are you with your step 1 or step 2?
I'm planning to give it in February. I'm done with UWorld. I have around 79% aggregate. And then on the MBMEs, I'm in between 250 to 260.
Wow, that's awesome. So let me ask you a question. Do you ever struggle with time management on your steps?
Yes. It's at the hour. It's at the end. I always have one question and some blocks.
Okay, and then that one question must be like costing you points. And let's say I were to, let's say, double your reading speed right now. Do that. If I double your reading speed, do you think that will increase your score?
Yes, it will help me think better also, I see.
Exactly. And as you're reading through, you think better. And it's crazy how much of a score improve this technique does. So I'm going to teach it to you. Let's go through. I want you to read this for me normally. And guys, yeah, let me do that. Okay. So Deepu, I want you to read this question the way you read. Just normally you would do. You don't need to speed read anything. Just the way you do, like you do. And I'm going to time you. Let's do that.
Do I need to say it out loud?
You need to say out loud, yeah. And I can time it. So let's start.
So which of the following is the most likely cause of this patient's symptoms? A 65-year-old man, non-ischemic cardiomyopathy, treated with furosemide, carvedilol, digoxin, comes to the emergency department with palpitations. His last left ventricular ejection fraction is 35%. His BP is 160/100 and pulse is 130 and irregular. Lungs are clear to auscultation. The abdomen is soft and non-distended. ECG shows a with rapid ventricular response and non-ischemic TDF changes. Therapy with rivaroxaban and amiodarone is initiated with improvement in symptoms. The patient is discharged home after 2 days with these new medications added to his initial regimen. 2 weeks later, he returns to the emergency department, found anemia, nausea, and general weakness. Is it the following is the most likely cause of this patient's symptoms? I think it's drug interaction.
So it took you about 60 seconds, which is not bad for a question. But again, step 2 questions will be longer. So I'm going to stop it. But let's make I think it's not 60, it's 67 seconds that took you. That's a good time. We'll get to the answer sometime as well. But what you're going to do right now, we're going to change that. You're going to start reading this question from the key. The reason is this. Many people are saying D could be right, but let's just focus on reading the question fast. So one thing that happens when you're reading the question, the way you do, is a lot of the times you end up rereading the question. So you're reading this, you're going here. You're going back, and that's taking time. What I want you to do is start with the last key, which is the last line of the question, which is which of the following is the most likely cause of this patient's symptoms. Then I want you to go through the answer choices so what we're trying to do is this, the grocery store, and I don't know what I want. I will be distracted by everything. I don't know what I want. It's going to take me an hour or two to figure out what I want. I'm going to get distracted and it will double or triple my time what I need. But if I know what I want, I want milk, I want eggs, maybe I want cereal, Kellogg's or whatever. If I know what I want, I'm going to go there and I'm going to extract it. I'm going to get it very fast and it's going to take me a couple of minutes. That's it. this is what we are doing with what I call is the reverse state technique that we'll implement, we are starting from the last line of the question. And then we're going through the answer choices just to gauge what the answer could be, what we are looking for, signals to noise ratio that we're trying to calculate. And then we go to the question stem and we read the question stem until we read the last line. So I want you to use that technique, number one. And we're going to do something different. We are going to introduce lines right now. And we're going to use a cursor. So we're going to draw lines, and me just take this and put this in comb. Okay, so I'm going to put this here, screen. Okay, so the same question that you just did, I don't know why that happened on this. All right, so we're going to take this question and let me just put this here, and then here is this. Right. So what you're going to do is you're going to start from the last line. You're going to read the answer choices and you're going to read the question stem. But I want you to read not from the eccentric end here. You're not going to read this. You're going to start here with non-ischemic cardiomyopathy. You're going to use the cursor and we're going to go from left to right up until this right line. And then we'll go to the left side and then this side. We're only reading in between this area. So area under the curve, only this area. And we're using our peripheral vision to guess what is on the left and the right side. Because you don't have to go from the extreme left to the extreme right to see the 160 by 100.
So look at that.
Does that make sense? If I want
Will be 65-year-old stuff.
you won't. Because if I'm looking at, if I start here, can your peripheral vision capture the 60?
Yeah.
So you're not. Technically, this is what people don't understand is you would need to use a peripheral vision. Because when I'm looking at width, I'm starting with this. I can see 65-year-old using my peripheral vision. And then I go with non-ischemic cardiomyopathy created with albuterol, lisinopril, and digoxin comes to the department with palpitation. I can see emergency. His last is this much. His blood pressure is this much. I want you to read it in this way and let's calculate the time. Okay, give me 1 second. Let me start the timer. Okay. I'll just use this, I think. Okay, I'll go here. Okay, we're going to use it here and I'm going to also put on the clock. Okay, so try to read it the way I've taught you. I'll turn this on as well. So let's do this. Okay. And okay, are you ready?
Yes.
Okay. So you're going to read it the way I told you. You're going to read between the line. You can use my cursor or you can use your finger. Do you have your finger with you?
I have my cursor. I'll use the
You can use a cursor or your finger, whatever you like. But you're going to use your cursor to go from left to right. And you're not going to ignore these sides and you'll make that up as you go. What I advise
the last question first.
Yeah, last line first. Then we go through the answer choices and then we read the question step. Okay, so I'll read it with you. So let's start.
Which of the following is the most likely cause of the patient's symptoms? Drug interaction was rating. Man with ischemic cardiomyopathy treated comes to department with palpitation. This last left ventricular fraction person. BP is 160 by 110 and pulse is 130 and the non-standard. ECG shows AFib with a rapid response and non-ischemic T-wave changes. Roloxifene and amiodarone is initiated with improving symptoms. Patient is discharged after 2 days with these new medications added to the initial regimen. 2 weeks later, uterus with profound anorexia, nauseous. Which of the following?
So just to show you this, you're just starting with this technique. A lot of the times I recommend people, these are imaginary lines. You can put the imaginary line a bit more distant. If it's harder for you, you can put it on, let's say here. And even if you cut that bit off and you use your peripheral vision, right now we went from 67 seconds to 40 seconds. So you have 27 more seconds to come to think through this. And that leads to a lot of improvements in the score is what I've seen. And imagine if you can do it for every single question on your USMLE exam. So what I will tell you is this, like this seems like a 1% improvement. But just like a ship, if you're like, you have your wheel or your ship and you move it by 1 degree, initially that 1 degree does not feel like a big difference. But if you're going through thousands of miles to 2,000s of miles, you'll reach a completely different place compared to other people. And these are the techniques, even though they feel silly to some people, but if you can use these techniques well and implement them, the amount of difference between you and other people would be crazy. Only if you can just implement these techniques. So hopefully that was helpful. And I want
Thing is, when I was reading fast, I couldn't take in what the question was actually asking about. So isn't that a problem with faster reading?
Initially, you are going to feel, I don't know how, because if you're using, these lines and you're reading at the same speed and you're using your cursor, I don't think that should be the case. I think it's new. It's a new way of reading for you, which is why a lot of people struggle. A lot of times, people don't implement whatever techniques I'm giving them because they get worse before they get better because it's a new system. It's like switching from a normal car to a Ferrari. Initially, you're going to have hiccups with the Ferrari because you don't know how to drive a Ferrari. It's a completely new car. But once you get a hang of Ferrari, you're going to get worse first. Once you get a hang of it, you're going to go at 300 miles per hour because you're able to implement the system. So a lot of times people give up on signal to noise ratio and the indentation, techniques that I teach people is because they don't want to get worse. They are like, hey, I'm getting worse. I'm going to leave this technique. It's not working. It's actually not the case. You're going to get worse with the Ferrari, but over time you will improve like crazy. So I want you guys to take this home and just try this, like as much as you can, and just draw these imaginary lines in your head. Never start from the peripheral end. Always leave 1 or 2 words out. I leave 1 or 2 words out. And I start with, let's say, old, right? I can see 65 here, 65 here. So I start with old man with non-ischemic myopathy, treated with furosemide, lisinopril, and digoxin. I can see the comes to, so I'm not going to look at this. The emergency department with palpitations. His last ventricular ejection fraction was 75%. His blood pressure is like, I can see it's high, and pulse is 130 per minute and irregular. Again, you can go back to some of these points later on, but this generally accelerates reading speed by double is what I've seen if you implement this well. And this is why I have time to go back to my questions and come to the right answer. And this is why you see those crazy high scores, is because I've compressed my reading time and I've expanded my thinking time. Hopefully that was helpful.
Yeah.
Okay. So I want you to commit to this, how to master this in 2 weeks. I want you to start using your cursor or your finger for every single UWorld question. Somebody said, can we run a risk of misreading a question? I think initially when you're implementing it, yes, because it's a new system. But over time, as you keep deploying it, it's like a Ferrari. You get better than the Ferrari. You will actually do better because you'll have more thinking time. So really ask yourself, how do I cut my reading time so I have more thinking time? So you're going to use your cursor for every UWorld question. You're going to move slowly with the cursor. You're not going to use your finger or read it by yourself. You're going to start with the last line, then go through the answer choices, and then go to the question so that you don't have to repeat reading the question again. And I'm wanting you to practice every single question with this technique. I also want you to, this is the week 1 that you're going to do, is you're going to use just a pacer. Week 2, what I want you to do is after you use spacing from now, is add those lines and try to read through like within the area of those lines. You want to start with, let's say, 1/6, right, of the lines. And then you want to go to 1/5. As much as you can compress, that's the amount of time you will save. I generally use 1/4 something because, again, I've done this for years. And because of this, I'm able to read way faster. I double or triple the reading speeds compared to normal people and expand my thinking time and come to the right answer and just use a lot of that signal to noise. So week 1, you're going to promise me that you're going to master pacing. Week 2, you're going to add those lines and read between those lines. And by week 3, the promise is you would have cut your reading time by at least half, is what I personally see, which will give you a lot more minutes, 140 plus minutes per exam, and that will improve your scores like crazy. But you need to make sure you follow up with this. Yes, you can. This is especially amazing for long questions, which take a lot of data. But if you can again implement this technique, you will be blown away by how effective this is. All right. So this is just a case study. I was working with the DO students, and again, I do private tutoring for some students. Currently, again, I don't have the spots because I don't engage in that much. But before, this person was taking about 90 to 100 seconds per question, as you were seeing, which is the general time most people take. After just doing this technique, I think this person was scoring in the 240s. They worked with me for 2 weeks, and I mainly taught them how to read faster. And they ended up scoring, I think this student was from Lake Erie Medical College, if you guys are aware. They ended up decreasing their reading time to 50-60 seconds, which was about 50% decrease. And they had 40 plus minutes to spare throughout their exam. The final score was 254. And this is what the testimonial said. And I can't like release the name and everything for this person because they wanted it to be anonymous. But hopefully this helps. Is they went from panic about having time to be able to review 20 flagged questions, which they were able to flag. And that alone gave them 15 extra points. So this is what I'm trying to teach you, is 1 degree of a shift to your strategy. Initially, it does not feel like a lot, but when you look at thousands or 2,000 of miles, it will create a drastic effect. That is the compounding effect of a 1 degree shift. USMLE assessment system, I have given you system 1, which is elimination. System 2, which is hyper reading. System 1 was a signal to noise ratio. System 2 is hyper reading. This will lead to zero panic, higher risk accuracy, and a consistent 250 to 270 plus, as was happening with me and my students. Next, what is the complete 6-month blueprint for step 2? Many students are preparing for step 2 right now. Even if you are like towards the end of your prep and you're like, yeah, I don't know how to get my score up, I'll go into that as well. Keep paying attention, right? Now you know how to think like an assassin. Now I want to also teach you what you should study, when you should study, and for how long. So the 6-month study plan that I advocate for is for step 2, you're going to start with that and you're going to about 40 questions a day. Along with this, what I want you to do is Divine Intervention podcast. I will be, for people who stay till the end, we'll be giving you a list of what we have compiled as the best high yield podcast for Divine that improves scores. So I'll be giving that to you as well. Don't worry about it. I want you to start doing Divine Intervention podcast daily, at least 1 podcast. Apart from that, I want you to start implementing CMS forms, which are clinical mastery shell forms. These forms are present for each subject. So medicine, internal medicine, and whatnot. But here's how the prep would look is every day I'm doing 40 questions per day. I'm doing Divine Intervention podcast. I'm listening to it in my free time. And I'm doing every week. For example, on Sunday, I'm doing about 4 CMS forms if possible for each subject. one CMS form is 50 questions. You're going to be doing 50 into 4 CMS forms, which is 200 questions. NDMEs, you'll be placing it towards the end. I'll talk about what NDMEs you do. UWSs and pre-120 are very important for this strategy. And then I'll also tell you how to improve it even further. The 6-month timeline looks like this. The first month is foundation. There's a deck called the Tazanki deck. I recommend my students to go with this is get started with the Tazanki deck for week 1. So let's say if I'm starting my prep. The first week will be, I'll be doing Tazanki deck, which will be on browse mode. And Tazanki deck has about 7,000 cards. It's a pre-made Anki deck. So I did about close to 1,000 cards a day. I think I took a week or two and I don't exactly remember. But if you want to do it in 2 weeks or 1 week, it's up to you. But you should be doing about 500 to 1,000 cards a day. It doesn't take a lot of effort to go through them. You don't have to memorize them. And you'll be doing it on browse mode, not Anki mode. The reason you need to do this deck is because you need to scope the subject. Step 2 is very vast. So many people get lost in unnecessary details. What we need to be able to do is we need like some kind of an Anki deck or some resource that tells us what are the boundaries of step 2. Where should I stop? Where should I start? And this is what Tazanki deck does, is it gives you a nice overview very fast of what are the higher concepts. So then you can focus on those higher concepts when you're doing UWorld, Divine Intervention podcast. And that is what I recommend is just doing it on browse mode and don't worry about remembering anything. You're just reviewing the step 2 syllabus in many ways in the first 1 or 2 weeks. After doing that, after the first 1 or 2 weeks are over, you're going to start doing UWorld questions, 40 questions daily. You're going to start Divine podcast daily. And I'll give you the high yield podcast, don't worry about as well. And I want you to be able to start doing CMS forms about 2 to 4 per week, if possible. In total, there are 31 CMS forms. You could do it every week. You could do it every 2 weeks or every month. Not every month, I would say every 2 weeks minimum. But doing these very early is very important. I would highly recommend doing all 31 CMS forms. The next 2 to 3 months will be which is 40 to 50 questions per day. UWorld has about 4,250 questions. If you do 40 to 50 questions a day, it's going to take you about 106 days to complete UWorld, which is close to 3.5 months. You'll see that UWorld prep is done about at 3.5 months or 4 months. That's how much time you will take if you do 40 questions. Another question bank that I highly recommend, there's Emboss, which I used to like. But then we started this question bank called Step Genie. And again, if you want to try it for free, I give you the free trial version as well, and you can have a look. The benefit of this question bank is it has our most advanced artificial intelligence in it, which is itself scored a 300 on the USMLE. So the benefit of this is that you can paste any question. Let's say if you have a doubt that I don't know how to solve this question, I think this is wrong. You have a doubt on NDMEs, you have a doubt with the concept. You can just go to Step Genie and ask it about it. And it's only trained on USMLE data. So unlike ChatGPT, the problem with ChatGPT is if you give it a question, it will a lot of the times end up giving you fluff. That's what I particularly noticed. So you end up getting a lot of fluff that's not useful. There's a lot of errors, hallucinations that end up actually hurting people more than sometimes than helping them. So the benefit of Step Genie is that it really is playing within the bounds of USMLE. It will not give you anything more than what USMLE wants. It won't give you anything more, anything less. That's it. It will just give you the higher facts. And we have trained it on all USMLE data you can think of. Every resource, everything. Step Genie is trained on that. So you're going to be using that as your personal AI tutor to help you accelerate your scores and understanding of Step. If you don't want to use Step Genie, Emboss is great. USMLE RX is great. But I highly would recommend adding another question bank in weeks, in month 2 to 3 and on, because we have seen a big correlation between the number of questions you attempt and the score you get on the USMLE, because you saw what I trained you on, the signal to noise ratio. Questions train you on the signal to noise ratio, and USMLE is not about just the answer, it's about the signal to noise ratio to rule out the wrong answers to come to. So therefore it does really well. You're going to do your UWSA 1 and 2 by, I think it's month 3.5 or month 4. So it's about 2 weeks apart. You're going to do it very early just to gauge what your score is. UWSs can also be wasted because they're not as high yield as NDMEs. And this is why I put them early on in the plan. In month 4, you're going to about complete your 100% of UWorld, which is about 104 days. Technically, it should be 3.5 months. But because you're going to be adding UWSA, let's say in a week, in one of the weeks, it's going to, going to need extra buffer zone for, I think, it will take about 4 months to complete UWorld. At this time, in month 4, you're going to start NDMEs, 1 per week. There are, the NDMEs I recommend are NDMEs 9, 16. So that is about 8 NDMEs in total. So it should not take you more than 8 weeks to complete all NDMEs. If you don't want to do all the NDMEs, you don't have time, you can do the latest NDMEs, which are 14, 15, and 16 at the least. But the earlier you start, the more you do, the higher you score, like it or not. By month 4, technically your CMS form should be finished, and you'll be listening to Divine Intervention podcast through. Month 5, again, you'll be doing UWorld incorrect NDMEs 1 to 2 times per week, if possible, and you'll be doing free 120 in your month 5 by the end of month 5. The target score is about 250 to 260. If you're unable to get there, again, we'll see how, again, if you want to work with us, and I'll talk about how you can work with us. But I would highly recommend our Step 2 crash course if you're not hitting these results, because what's happening then is you have some base level deficiencies. You don't know enough knowledge. And what we have designed our Step 2 crash course is to address that base level knowledge plus add test taking on top of it. It's about 50 hours long. It doesn't take more than a week to finish it. And anybody who finishes it ends up scoring technically high, very high. And we have had a lot of good reviews from it. So I'll introduce that at the later part as well. And the final prep, the month 6, you're going to do your final 2 NDMEs, just a light review. And the last 1 or 2 weeks, I would say don't even prepare, just relax, because the significant correlation we've seen between relaxation states in the last 2 weeks, when people relax, they are not overwhelmed, they score higher than their peers. So this is what I would recommend as a strategy. Here, what you learned during this webinar is you learned why 2025 Step 2 is fundamentally different. It's longer, and many people you will talk to, if you talk to them, they will tell you this, is it's very long, the question stems, and you learn a technique to compress your time to learn those question stems by half, which will give you way more time to think and implement what you know to get higher scores. You also learn signal to noise ratio, which is the ability to come to the answer without knowing the answer. You actually learned like 1% of test taking, because there's a lot more to test taking and it takes more time to teach it. But you learn the single most important thing in test taking, which I think moves scores the most. You also understood the complete 6-month blueprint in order to study for Step 2. And this is what got me a 271. But this is again a 15% of the complete system, which leads to you becoming a USMLE assassin. Because what you'll see with USMLE assassins is it's just that they have this crazy ability to not be afraid of the exam. They're not afraid of failing. They're just going to the exam and just having fun. And that comes with extreme levels of test taking, the ones that I use and a lot of people that I've taught use. And you've seen like the testimonials for that 280 score and whatnot. That takes a lot of time to drill in. And here's the other issue that comes. I've given you a lot during this webinar, hopefully, but the problem is this: 95% of you will not be able to implement this very nicely or properly. And this is what I've seen. If you take somebody through a webinar, only 5% of the people who are the agency are able to implement it, or they have the seniors or whatever to implement these systems and gain from. 95% of people who go through these webinars are not able to get the same results that I've talked about, those massive score boosts. Because they, like for example, if you use hyper reading, a lot of people, I bet it, 95% will give up on this. A lot of people will give up on the signal to noise ratio because they don't have somebody holding their hand to implement the signal to noise ratio and dissecting question stems with them to make them come to the answer. So it does take a long time to drill this in, but hopefully if you're one of the 5%, awesome. But 95% of people need hand holding to implement these systems, and getting them a 250, 260, 270. I am not kidding from my own experience. And this is where I'll give you a chance. And I'm a bit nervous right now because I'm going to shift from my teaching mode to my selling mode, but I need to make this offer to you so that I can make sure that you get a great score and you can match into your dream residency. And hopefully, if you're okay with this, just say yes and I'll proceed further. So the paths that you have right now is there are 2 paths. One is the path of being a USMLE prisoner, which is you're trying to implement it all by yourself. You're trying to match by yourself. And it does take a lot of trial and error to get the signal to noise ratio, 100% of that correct. You only saw a 1% of what signal to noise can do. And you maybe get a 230, 245 for many of them. And there is always a risk of that failure. And then who will that work with that failure? Based upon our estimates, somebody who just goes through the USMLE journey by themselves ends up spending $92,000 more than somebody who works with, let's say, somebody who's teaching them throughout the whole steps. Let me tell you why. If you look at the current match rate for IMGs, I don't know if I have the statistic right for that, but you can look it up. It's 48% in internal medicine, which is decently competitive for non-US IMGs. And that data itself is inflated. Let me tell you why. So if you look at the match rate, what is it considering? It is considering the number of applicants who have submitted rank order list. And to submit a rank order list, you need interviews. Now I want you to tell me how many people do you know who have not even received interviews? So when you look at the 48% match rate, that is taking in consideration number of people who matched divided by number of people who submitted a rank order list. But the truth is there are way more people than people who have submitted a rank order list because they have not gotten an interview. They never can submit a rank order list. So the ratio is close to about, based on our estimates, it's 35 to 40% actually. If you look at people who don't get the interviews, right? And if you look at that data, most people are not able to match on their first attempt because of poor scores, number one. And 1 year of not matching. I'm going to ask you, what is that worth to you? 1 year of not matching is $70,000 of residency salary gone. And number two, our estimates indicate that the rest, if you look at the 22,000, that you need for the next math cycle to get more research, more rotations, and then try more, travel more to get to the match. And research shows that the more number of consecutive math cycles you have, for example, if I'm not able to match in match number 1 and I apply for match number 2, my chances of matching drop down from what you would see is 35% near about to close to 25%. You have 1/4 chances of matching. And it keeps dropping with subsequent math cycles. So what ends up happening is, although I put out numbers where you see the basal number of applying for the match is 20,000, most people end up spending way more than that much money because the match rate is close to 35% at best, and it decreases subsequently. And our estimates show that students are losing about $92,000 per math cycle. The other path that you have is being a USMLE assassin, where we will hold your hand and we'll teach you everything about step 2 from the get-go. We have a proven system that gets people a minimum of 250, and we have tutors who score a 270, and I'll teach you how to do that as well. And based upon our estimates, I've been doing it for the last 5 years. Our students stay in one math cycle, which is they're able to match on their first attempt. Most of them, we have a very high 95% match rate. We'll talk about how we achieve that as well using artificial intelligence. But we have a 95% match rate. And if you're able to match in your first math cycle, you're saving $92,000, which would have been the opportunity cost of not matching in your first math cycle, plus because you're losing the residency salary, plus reapplying. So that is the amount of savings, because I want there to be a financial return in this for you as I go further into like how we can help you. But this is the savings that our students report. Before I go into my program, I really want to ask you, do you see the signal to noise ratio or the elimination ratio working for you? If the answer is yes, like you don't again have to go with us for our course. But before I go into, what I'm going to go into our program, I hope there was a lot of value in this. Do you think the signal to noise ratio and elimination could work for you? Like the power that you saw with signal to noise ratio and elimination. Do you think that could work for you? Just type a yes in the chat. Secondly, can you see yourself doing questions in 45 to 60 seconds after you, the speed reading technique, which is the hyper reading? Type a yes in the chat if that's true for you. Okay. Number 3, does the 6-month blueprint fit your timeline? And many of you it won't, but do you think you can make a blueprint like I gave you, even if it's not 6 months, you can make it work? Do you think you can make it work? If yes, type it in the chat. Also, hopefully, do you feel less of a prisoner from the USMLE after you learn signal to noise ratio, after you've learned hyper reading? Type a yes in the chat if that's true for you. And do you think you're more of a USMLE assassin after you've learned signal to noise ratio, you've learned elimination, you've learned hyper read? Type a yes in the chat if that's true for you. And hopefully, are you glad you stayed to learn this? Did I make it worth your time taking you through all of this? I will give you other resources, free resources at the end. That's my 6th question. Was it worth your time in the end? Type a yes in the chat if that was true for you. Okay. If that is true for you, we have something even more incredible, which is called as the Exponential Catalyst. It's our step 2 course. And our goal is to take you from a USMLE prisoner, USMLE assassin, using the principles of what I call as encoding variability, which is using multiple resources to encode information so you never forget. It's a speed reading technique, plus meta learning, plus so many other things clubbed into it. What you learned was just 1%. There's 99%, which takes time, but it's crazy when you get to that level. It's just so easy to pass USMLE, so easy to score 250, 260, 270. Our pass rate is 99.85% with this course. We have thousands of students who've taken this course, and our average score is 250 plus. I've personally coached students to about 1,750 students or more. I think it's more now. Maybe that's an old number, to a 270 plus, some even 280. And we annually update our whole syllabus. So whatever we are teaching you is rooted in what MDME tests, because we're deriving our information directly from them. So it's incredibly high yield, and we update it every single year. So we're not teaching you 2020 syllabus or 2022 syllabus, but we're teaching what matters in 2025 or 2026. That's the point of our course, which is Exponential Catalyst. And everybody who teaches Exponential Catalyst is a 270 scorer themselves, because we want the best teaching. So here's what's included in this. You get 6 months of live classes, which is 3 classes a week. You're going to get that for 6 months. Each class is about 2 to 3 hours long. You will have somebody who is at 270 work with you to give you NBME style questions, and we'll cover the entire syllabus for step 2 in those 6 months for you using NBME style questions, because you saw what matters in questions. What matters is signal to noise ratio, what matters is elimination, and we want to teach you those skills through questions and then cover the entire syllabus with it, because we think that is what creates the biggest freaking scores in USMLE and makes it easier to pass. And this is what most courses don't teach. We also use an N+1 coaching method, which is if you're enrolling for step 2, we also teach you step 3. We embed points. Anybody who's teaching you step 2 also is learning for step 3, or they've already given step 3. So they embed step 3 points such that the transition to step 3 becomes very easy for you, because you already know a lot of step 3 material beforehand. We'll be covering all 31 CMS forms with you. You don't need to buy them extra. We'll be working with you. We'll give it to you. So that's included. All your 8 NBMEs are included. You don't need to worry about them. We only have maximum 20 students per cohort. The reason is this. because I have to be involved. You will have a personal one-on-one initiation with me, and I'll be working with you to create your entire timeline till the match, not just step 2, step 3, but also the match. And our extended support guarantee is you get free coaching until you pass, which is up to 12 months total. If you, let's say, can't make 6 months work, we'll extend it for free for the next 6 months at no extra cost, because we want to make sure you get to where you want. This program used to cost $8,000 before, because again, this is targeted more towards MDs, DOs, and again, IMGs from countries like such as UAE and whatnot. And students were happy to pay us $8,000 for this. But because we've been so successful, I'll tell you what the price is right now. It's massively decreased. It's not as much as this. What else will we be including in this? I've not covered everything. You'll get like access to step to UWorld. For example, if you bought UWorld, we'll cut that off from the price, but this will be included. You'll get access to UWorld step 2. You'll get access to QBANK, which is worth $199. It's the best AI you will get for USMLE. You'll get all 31 CMS forms. You'll get all NBMEs. You'll get UWSAs. You'll get the free 120 to Donkey and the divine intervention playbook that we'll give to you just for you separately. So the resource value is, I say here, it's $648 because I'm unable to calculate the rest because it's so insane, because I think it might bump the number up to first, but all of these are included in the course for you. And what the promise is, and I'll talk about what the price for this, it's markedly less than $8,000 because of how successful we've been with this. But what you'll get is WhatsApp group access. So you have access to us 7 days a week. Our response time is less than 5 hours. So somebody, if you have any questions, anything you're worried about or your match, we'll be there to guide you. And you'll have questions answered by 270 plus scorers. You'll have access to them. And you'll have a community of USMLE assassins. So we have match alumni all over US, which will help you get into the residency that you want to. Because what our goal is to not just get you to step to pass, because who cares about a step to pass if you fail to match? So a lot of the times people win the battle, they lose the war. What good is winning the battle if you lose the war? We want you to win the war, which is the match, not just win a battle, which is USMLE. So that's what we are including. And a satisfaction guarantee is if your score stall, if some issue happens, we'll extend it for free, because we don't quit on you ever until you pass, until you get the score you deserve. And the other thing you'll get, and this is just for our students, is what is autopilot match AI. So because of the insane following that I have, I've been able to get data from students. It's 35,000 plus students across the last 5 years. And we've trained our own artificial intelligence on it. And what it does is incredible. So if let's say you have a certain match profile, the AI will analyze your match profile and map out every other profiles which have had crazy results. For example, if somebody has a 230 and they apply to internal medicine and they got 11 interviews, our AI will ask, what did they do differently? And it will see, okay, they apply to these programs. Okay, they did ignorant here. They did this kind of research. They did this kind of rotation. And it will analyze similar profiles, which are outliers. And then it will create a journey just for you, personalized for you. And that is what we have been developing in the background in the last 5 years. And this is why we have such a crazy high match rate, which is 95%, because it's guided by research and artificial intelligence and meta-analytic data. If you ask, let's say, a senior, what you're getting is a case report of what their experience was. A case report does not directly translate into real match experience. And this is why we've been building it for the last 5 years. Why I've been involved in research is we wanted to build the ultimate meta-analysis, our autopilot AI. And I'll give you some look into this as well. It's crazy that it is able to take your current point and map out your entire journey, what to do, what not to do, and where should you apply. It's crazy how good it is. Apart from that, we'll be giving you a rotation strategy if you need that, research opportunities, and your CV optimization. The current match rate, as you're seeing, is 35 to 40%. With us, it is 95%. I'm going to ask you a question. How much do you think your match journey is worth to you? How much do you think your time is worth to you? 1 year of matching early is $70,000. Avoiding an extra match cycle is $15,000. Research plus rotations value, which you'll spend if you don't match, again, which is what students go with, is the total savings that you'll have with us is $92,000. And again, if somebody goes alone, and let me give you another example that I really like. Going from New York to LA is free. But if you do the journey on your own, guess what? You're going to have surgeries because it's too long. You're going to die in the way because it's too long, because there's thousands of decisions. It's free though. But what do most people do? They buy a plane ticket. Why do they buy a plane ticket? Everything's included. It's much faster. Even though it looks the most expensive, it is the cheapest option. Going from New York to LA, if you think about it, it's the most expensive option. It's a very similar scenario. And this is what you avoid with us is you're going to save $92,000. This is what most of our students are getting about these savings because they match on their first attempt. You are also avoiding private tutoring, which can cost upwards of $28,000, and no separate match consulting for $10,000 that you have to pay other companies. So these costs I'm not even including in. But we're not charging $8,000 today because we've been successful in scaling it to thousands of students. That's how much we work with, is thousands of students, MDs, DOs, IMGs, whatever you can think of. And we were able to drop the price recently to $5,000, which is almost about 40% off already. But you're not even paying that because you showed up and stayed. The webinar attendee exclusive is about $2,999. This includes everything, right? From UWorld, all the resources, working with us across the next 6 months. We'll provide you everything. You don't have to worry about it. Plus, what you're also getting is access to our autopilot AI, which means you're not deploying the autopilot AI and you don't have to worry about what rotation should I do, what research should I do. What we will do is we'll take care of that for you. Think of working with us as taking a flight ticket. If you go by yourself or with other companies, the problem is this. It's like you're taking a cab or you're walking by yourself. It's going to take way longer. It's going to get way more expensive. And it's going to have multiple shifts along your journey because you're taking cabs. You're not taking a direct flight. USMLE Wise is that kind of thing that I want you to build, not just for me, but for my brother. Currently, my brother is going through the steps, and I wanted to create a system, not just for me, but my brother. And I'm also a friend and multiple other friends who were struggling with all of this. And we wanted to create a direct flight pathway in which we take care of everything. You just focus on the exams, give you exams, and we'll figure out a way to get you to match. And we won't leave your hand until you match. That's the goal. But you're also not going to pay $2,999 because we're dropping it down to $2,500 because you stayed for so long. If you pay, let's say in a one-time payment, it's about $2,500 for working for step 2 for us. And this is a $200 discount. Generally, we charge about $2,700 for this. If you want to do a payment plan, which is, hey, Manik, I don't think I can pay all of this in one go. You can pay $450 per month. That is about $2,700. But if you do a one-time payment, it is just $2,500. Just going to tell you that the DIY path to a 270 and matching by yourself is $92,000, and I'm not kidding. You can look at Reddit right now. If you don't believe me, go to Reddit and see what people are getting with a 250 even. They're getting 2 interviews to 4 interviews. The reason is they don't have artificial intelligence. They don't have meta-analytic data. I will again show you people who are working with us who have even 230s. And by the way, they came to us after they got a 230 on step 2. They didn't work with us for step 2. We were able to get this girl. Her name's Rashmita, and hopefully she can come in as well. She had a 230. Can somebody guess how many interviews she got in urology with a 230 step 2 score? How many interviews she got in urology? The answer is 11. Can you believe somebody who has a 230 on step 2 got 11 interviews? How do you think that's possible? The answer is this. If I have a plane and I'm trying to drive that plane without autopilot, artificial intelligence, what is going to happen? My chance of landing is going to be very low. All planes that you go on to have autopilots. The pilot is not driving. It's autopilot artificial intelligence, which is allowing people to have a 99.9% chance of reaching their destination. That's why you jump on a plane, because of artificial intelligence, because AI can do so much more than a normal human can. And that's why you're jumping on a plane, is because of artificial intelligence. What if you can say, apply the same AI to the USMLE journey? And this is what we have done. And this is why we have a 95% match rate, which we'll go into as well. So this $2,500, you can pay for a $92,000 savings and a full year of math cycle. That's the promise that we are giving you. Okay. And bonuses. Because you stay till the end, I had to convince my team to give more bonuses because I wanted you to win. You've given me your time on a Sunday, and I'm really grateful for that. We'll give you our step 1 and step 2 crash course, which are updated for the new USMLE syllabus. If you want to include that for completely free. The cost of our step 2 currently, both the crash courses together, is about $600. We're going to increase that as well later on, because again, we need to because of inflation and whatnot. But you'll get access to our 50-hour step 1 crash course, 50-hour step 2 crash course. If you're weak on basics, you can take the step 1 crash course. If you're weak on step 2, you're not able to do your performance, you'll get access to the step 2 crash course for the 2025 plus USMLE step 2 syllabus and the 2025 plus USMLE step 1 syllabus if you need it, or for free. And this is the bonus if you enroll right now. The second and the third bonus you're going to get is access to a conference database. One of the biggest things you can do in matching is networking. And we know what conferences increase the ratio of interviews than other conferences. So let me give you an example. So ACR, we know this because many of our students went to ACR and we were able to get outliers of interviews from them, where people who got a 230 got 11 interviews technically from that conference. So we built our own customized database of conferences, which can give you predictions on what conferences you should attend using AI. And that leads to more interviews, leads to higher chances of matching, which is about 95%. You'll also get access to a research course, because again, I want to make it the best deal for you. So you're going to get access to a research course. We'll help find research opportunities. We'll teach you how to publish and leverage research for match. This is worth itself to $97. Our conference database is $97 if you buy it. Let's add up what you're getting. You're getting our core program, which is worth $8,000. You're getting UWorld because I have a partnership with them. We'll include that as well. You'll get Step Genie, which is $199. You'll get Autopilot Match AI, which is $1,500. You'll get a crash course, which is $699. You'll get a conference database, which is $97. You'll get a research course, which is valued at $297. The total value is $11,141, and you're just getting it at $2,500 in total. And that's about 78% discount for you. And this is only webinar only pricing. We do not offer this pricing and this offer to anyone else but our webinar attendees. And it's only valid for the next week, because we are starting a Step 2 cohort in the next week itself. The bonuses will expire in the next 48 hours. So if you enroll with us in the next 48 hours, you will get access to all these bonuses, which is our crash course, plus our conference database and our research course, if you want access to that. But the course enrollment itself will stop in about a week. And there is zero risk. We follow our triple guarantee model because we want it to be a no-brainer for you. You get extended coaching up until 12 months. So it's a 6-month course, but let's say something happens. We'll extend it for free at no extra cost for 12 months. You're also going to get a score star protection, which is if something happens, you're not able to improve your score, we'll work with you personally to improve your scores further. And lastly, we don't quit. We have a 99.5% pass rate. My goal is to make you a genius and make you match it to your dream residency on your first attempt and give you the maximum savings you can and the maximum buck for whatever you're spending. So that's the goal. You cannot literally lose with us. And either it's up to you if you want to transform into that USMLE assassin who just makes it easily and gets on a plane ticket, or you can just walk by yourself. It's up to you. And we understand if you want to do it by yourself. Again, we have limited capacity because I'm involved in all of this. So we only take 20 students per cohort. We have multiple cohorts running, but we only have a certain capacity. If you're not able to register right now, I'll put the link later. If you're not able to register, you can just book a call and we can see how we can fit you into other cohorts if that's possible. Generally, that's not possible. But if the booking runs out today, you can again reach out to my team and see what we can do. And I'll also give you what the other method is. So when the cohort is full, the wait time is 3 to 6 months to work with us. Bonuses likely will not be available. It's up to you if you want to secure this right now. And again, we want to start with a $99 deposit if you're interested. And I'll put the link on the chart. You can choose the payment and you'll be instantly confirmed for our Step 2 cohort. If you have doubts or if you have any confusions about this, here's what you can do. Let me just give you the links for this. Okay. Put the link for the registration and I'm going to pin it as well. You can register for the cohort right now. And I'm also going to put in the link. Let me just do, if you have any doubts, let's say you are not able to understand or something happened and you need a customized plan, you can go to our website and I'm going to give it to you. And you can book a free strategy call. It's completely free. And what we'll do here is we'll use some of our Autopilot Match AI to give you customized predictions on how we can help you match and how we can make you match on the first cycle, not in subsequent cycles. So this is completely free. It's run by Kanika. She's one of our USMLE experts. And it's about 30 minutes. You don't have to make any commitments to buy anything. It's completely free. Our goal as USMLE Wise is to create the next generation of doctors who are able to change the world. And again, some people, they might not be able to enroll and we still want to help. So you can check in with Kanika and try to book slots. Again, we have limited capacity for this as well. Other things, just concluding everything, just a few doubts that many people have that I want to clarify. You might be wondering how fast will I see results? So let's say if you can only enroll for a month, what I can promise you is if you work with us in just 2 to 4 weeks, most of our students report at least a 1 point improvement in their scores. That's what we've generally seen. And they save a lot of time using hyper reading, which again, both using these techniques of hyper reading, they save time. They are able to read faster, able to think more, and able to get more questions correct. And then using signal to noise ratio, they're able to come to the answer without knowing the answer. If you're a retaker, many people here might be retakers. Here is why this is amazing. I know many retakers. I've trained multiple retakers who've gone from 195 on Step 2. I'm serious, 195, 254. This was Raj. He's somebody who's currently working as an SM resident in North Dakota. And because we worked with him, he was able to get to that score. If you want to talk to some of our students, we are happy to put you in touch with them and they'll tell you about how it is to work with us. Some people will be like, hey, I can't afford $1,500 because it's too much. Let me ask you a question. What would be more expensive, buying a Rolex or buying a Casio? A Rolex costs $6,000. A Casio is going to cost you $450. So if you look at it this, a Casio looks cheaper than Rolex, but at the end of year 1, the cost of the Casio, even though it's cheaper, will drop to $0. If I buy a Rolex, which is $6,000, by the end of year 1, year 2, year 3, the Rolex will hold its value. It will be $6,000. So I'm not losing any money. Even though it looks like that the Casio is cheaper, going by yourself, doing this entirely by yourself looks cheaper. I promise you, from what I've seen, I myself lost 1 year of time in my own math cycle. And the cost for me was $92,000. And that's the cost that most people pay. But that's the same thing you're doing if you're buying a Casio. If you buy a Rolex, even though it looks expensive, I promise you will save way more money, which is $1,000. If you have less than 6 months before the exam, that's perfect. This system should work perfectly for you. And we'll move the next months. For example, if you're able to do step 2 in 1 or 2 months, we'll move it to step 3. So you're not losing out on us. You'll get the same system for step 3, or you can enroll for the monthly option. Can someone average score a 270? At a 7/20 on my first anatomy test, I was the most average medical student, and I'll prove it to you. Let me show it to you. If you don't, let me just, because some people don't believe this. These are my transcripts. I will just open it, and I want you to see my scores, right? Out of 400, this is after I got my supply, I got a 276 after I learned systems. My physiology, 287 out of 400. What I can just show you is I was never the distinction holder, yet my results are crazy. Why is that? The answer is meta learning, using artificial intelligence, using a lot of techniques which most people don't have any idea about. And this is why I get unequal returns compared to other people. And this is, again, let me show you my 263 out of 400. I was average in many ways, 284, 115 in forensics. That was I barely passed in forensics. I can just keep showing you about how average I was, but what I can tell you is you're extraordinary. You're a great chef. You just don't need rotten ingredients. You need the proper ingredients to get the dish that you want, which is your perfect match. That's our Match Predictor app. So I'll show you how to work with this, and we'll be giving you free access to the Match Predictor app. This is built on 35,000 plus match applicants, and it will give you the exact prediction of what you'll match, and it's incredibly accurate. It's crazy. And lastly, is this legit? Again, you can search me up on social media wherever you want. I'm the most followed USMLE creator worldwide, not just, even though I'm an international medical graduate, I tutor people who are MDs. We have many students working with us. We have many tutors who are MBAs and DOs. So this is extremely legit. Our 99.85% pass rate across all exams is legit. You can check it out. You can go through my YouTube comments or testimonials if you would like to. And 100% this is legit, so you don't have to worry about that. And this is just your transformation journey. If you work with us, is you'll be leaving behind anxiety, opening UWorld, anxiety, going to the USMLE, anxiety across your whole entire match journey, because you have us and our entire experience plus artificial intelligence at scale, which will help us give the exact prediction of where you want to do what to get to your match faster than other people and save your time. You'll be no longer be panicking on your stems, running out of time, forgetting under pressure, feeling average, or will have fear of failing, because with us, you will match. That is our guarantee, is 100%. There is no way you won't match with us. And you'll step into just confidence at Prometric and wherever you want, take less time to go through your question stems and therefore score higher. And you will be a master of elimination, which is coming to the answer without knowing the answer. And you will get a 250 to 270 plus score, plus your dream residency. And just to make it even better, by the way, I'll give you the free USMLE Match Predictor. What this does is we are taking data across, it's 35,000 students right now. It will increase, and as you give it data, it gets better. So it will analyze your match competitive assessment, which is, it will give you a score based upon all different parameters you give it, and will put you on a bell curve against other applicants, and you will exactly know what your chances of matching are and how many degrees you will get when you apply for that match cycle. So this is our Match Predictor AI. Just to answer some of the questions that people are asking, that if you are working for step 1, so somebody's asking, can we use it if we are already in the cycle? You can, yes, book a strategy call in how we can give that to you and how we can work with you. Put the link below. I've also given, you can use the software. By the way, this is the free one. The other one that we just give it to our students, it's a complete version. We don't want to give that away because it's too much, but you can use the AI. Like I just gave the link. You can press the link and you can today check your chances of matching wherever you are and what you, and it's relatively accurate. It's across 35,000 plus students. And somebody asked, he kindly tells a divine podcast to listen to for step 2. We'll be sending that to you as well after the webinar is over. So that is not an issue. Somebody asked, can you share the link for step 1 course 2? I think you can just go to the pinned comment, which is, I'll give that to you as well. Where is the pinned comment? Okay, let me just go back because many people are asking. Yeah, studio, no. So this is the comment, guys. If you want to book the step 1 course and you're studying for step 1, because I see a lot of students are, we have a cohort open for that as well. You can use the same link, put the step 2 exponential course, and just use the same link to book your spot there. And we'll make it the step 1 course as well. Your 6 months course, does it take into account for those who study full-time or on working full-time while also waiting for USMLE? The answer is yes. We have treated it in a way that even let's say if there's a delay and you're working longer, for example, if you're working for, let's say you want to step 2 and you don't have enough time and you're going to take a year, and that's completely okay because some people don't have the time, we'll put it in a way that will extend it for free such that you're able to attend the classes till the end, like our question solving classes, but plus everything till the end, so that you're able to complete your syllabus. So we are able to match it to your schedule. So you'll have a one-to-one initiation call with me. I'll be sitting with you and I'll be using our whole software to give you a plan on how you should prepare for step 2 based upon the time that you have. And then we'll be talking about how we can make you match. My goal in the end is not to just make you pass step 2. There are multiple people who get 260s, 270s on step 2, and they have 0 interviews or 4 interviews. I don't want you to be in that spot. Our goal in the end is to make you win the war. So I'll sit with you not to just develop your step 1 plan, but the entire macroscopic plan. And this is an example of how this looks like. Let me give you an example of Autopilot AI. This is just a demo. So if you can see my screen, let me show you Autopilot AI. But if you just want to sign up for our crash courses and you are like, hey, Manik, I don't have enough time, what I would recommend is going to, I put the link for our step 1 crash course. If you enroll for, by the way, if you enroll for cohorts, which is exponential courses, which I talked about, which are $2,500, you get free access to step 1 and step 2 crash course. You don't have to pay extra for that. So this is how our step 1 crash course looks like. And I'm just going to give you the link if you just want to sign up for this. Okay. So this is a step 1 crash course if you want to enroll. And our step 2 crash course is this. This is the step 2 crash course if you want access to it. Come on.
Hi, Dr. Manik. Am I audible?
Yes. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Doctor, actually, there are few students who had a question that they failed in their step 1 twice or thrice. Should they actually try giving step 2 or they should finish their step 1 first? Because this is something like I have received a lot of questions even on our WhatsApp as well as on our Instagram. Can you please clarify this doubt of the students also?
I highly would not recommend that because step 1 knowledge carries over to step 2. So even if you have failed it, again, our programs work. And let me tell you the reasons why this is crazy. Why working with us is like a no-brainer. Number 1, we'll get you to pass step 1. No matter what, we have tutors who will be able to get you to there. But now you will be like, Manik, I have a step 1 fail. Will I even match? Especially if you're a non-US. We have multiple people this year who have failed step 2 twice. There is somebody, I don't want to name her, but I think Kaushik can attest to that. And maybe we can send you a screenshot. Nobody thought she would receive an interview. And she worked with us. And we were using an Autopilot AI software, and we were able to get all the outliers and then see which students were able to get interviews from where for their step 2, or like when they had a step 2 1 or twice. And we were able to get this one program which gives interviews to people who have failed step 2 and even non-US IMGs. And guess what? She got an interview and she's probably going to match. She got one interview, but I'm still telling you, many people will get no interviews at all. And even if she does not match, guess what? We have backup plans for her. We have entire protocols that we've developed over the last 5 years where we will put her in like a research setting or whatnot, and we'll make her match. That's our goal. So when you go with us, our goal is to take you on that flight, the plane ticket, and take you entirely to the match. We are not just playing around with USMLE or match. We'll do your match application and that's it. Our goal is how do we make sure that you land on your journey destination, which is your match itself. Somebody like, I'm just going to answer. So that's the answer. Do not do step 2 without step 1. If you want to work with us, we'll make sure you match. That's the goal. And we have our tutors and we have multiple other students who work with us. They fail step 1 and they passed easily with flying colors. And you don't need to worry about a step 1 fail. If you're working with us, we'll figure it out. Okay. Step 1, can you let me know? I think I'm just answering a few questions. Then we'll be going into the Q&A. And I think I already gave you the match predictor. Use that to see how competitive you are. It's crazy accurate. Let me just show you how to use that. I think I'll answer questions and then show you how to use it. So step 1, can you let me know? You can just sign up for the deposit. And we'll enroll you in the step 1 like cohort. I think we do have a few spots there. It's about 4 to 5 that are remaining. If you want to enroll for that, you mentioned you would share the AI with us. Will you share it with us? So I think I already shared it. I'm going to pin it as well. And I'm going to show you how to use it. The course is for step 2, not step 1. You can enroll in a separate course. You have 2 courses. One is for step 2. And in that course, what we are going over is NBME style questions, which are derived from the CMS forms. So you're technically covering the entire NBME question bank with us. We don't use the exact questions because it ends up inflating scores, but these questions are derived from those NBME questions, and we are already testing you on NBME style questions. And we cover the entire syllabus that way, along with giving you access to UWorld and whatnot. For step 1, we give you access to all resources. You don't really have to worry about it. For $2,500, you get access to our question line. You get access to UWorld. You don't have to worry about it. We'll take care of this. Any videos, anything else will take care of this. You only pay $2,500 and we'll take care of the entire journey for you. So you can sign up for that as well if you want. Any other questions? Is there anyone preparing for Nepal? I think that if you're from Nepal, you can help Roshan out. Yes, please tell the cost of step 1 crash course, step 1 cohort. So if you want to enroll for our Exponential Catalyst course for step 1, it is about $2,500. It used to be $8,000, and we have been able to drop down that price significantly because of how successful it has been and how we have been able to scale it. So it's everything included. You don't have to pay extra for anything else for step 1. Even we'll include NBMEs and whatnot, so you don't have to worry. And you just sign up, book your deposit, and we'll cover. I definitely think the program is worth it. Just won't have the funds for it this season. Will there be another promotion later for next year? Sure. You can just reach out to our team. You can reach out to Kanika, and just what I will tell you is our goal is to guide you. Even if you don't have the funds, just get on a call and see how you can plan your journey. Because my goal is to give you a map So you can think about it in a, just if I want to take a flight, I want to be able to see it from the end, where do I want to land? If I don't know where I'm going to land and I take a flight, I don't know where I'm going, and I don't know then whether I would land or not. So it's very important to start from the end. And then based on that end, you need to plan, and then you get to the destination easily. And I've shared the links, and yes, you can use it for your current math cycle. I will share the Divine Intervention podcast list as well later, and I'll just give it to you. Your 6-month plan, does it take into account for those who study full-time? Yes, I already answered that. Many people have made the deposit. Congratulations. Somebody has attempts, just finished all my shells third year, thinking to take step 2 first. Would you really, I would just say do step 1. The exponential course also covers step 3 prep. Yes. Step 2 and step 3 have the same syllabus. There's only a 10% difference, which is CCS cases. So we'll get you the UWorld question bank, and somebody will sit with you and teach you how to do CCS cases. So it will include a coverage for step 3. So you don't have to worry about that. I have UWorld, Step Genie question bank. I also joined your step 2 crash course. What are you guys going to do for me? So I would tell you to just book a deposit. We'll cover the entire cost. So for example, we'll refund you the step 2 crash course fee, the UWorld fees, and the Step Genie question bank fee. So we'll cut it from the price. So to compensate for that. So that would be about, let's say it is about 470. So let's say 500 plus Step Genie is 200 plus, so that's 700 gone. And then the crash course is right now, I think when you enroll, maybe it's 100 or 200. So they will need to talk about it. So we can take 800 down, the price down. And then that would be about 1,700 that you would need to pay.